Good morning to the south of Paris and Stade Charlotte on day 6 of the 2023 Para-Athletics World Championships. The lights are on, but don't be fooled. It is very warm here. It has been for the entire championships. A couple of dots of rain early on, but besides that, it's been warm. There's been a heat wave sweeping through the south of Europe. We've missed most of it, but we've had wonderful conditions. Athletes and officials alike have had a brilliant time thus far, and we've seen championship records, world records, lifetime bests, and very little breeze to speak of. 18 degrees at the moment. It will get warmer as the afternoon goes on, trust me. Session starting earlier at 9 a.m. local time due to the heat and to try and avoid the hottest part of the day. And it's been a championships to remember for Brazil. Day 5 was theirs to savour. The samba was out in force come the end of it. There was so much dancing due to the gold medals. And talking of golds, there are 9 to hand out on the opening morning on this Thursday, the 13th of July. Getting underway with the women's javelin throw F56. We'll see the Paralympic champion, Motigayan of Iran, go up against Diana Kremina of Latvia. That will get us underway. We'll also have 4 events on the track to give out medals as well, concluding with that women's 400 metres T37 a little bit later. The final of the finals on the track, Karen Palameke trying to add to her 400 metre gold by taking the 100 metres. I'm Tolson Tollett, Will Downing alongside me, and Steph Reed working away with us as well. We are in the and we're just about ready to get underway as the athletes prepare to be introduced to the crowd in what is a wonderful long jump pit, Steph Reed.
Right now, the officials are just smoothing everything out, and by far, the officials in the long jump, I think, have the hardest in terms of most physical job.
Not that you're biased.
Not that I'm biased at all. But it's really important pit preparation, because this competition could come down to centimeters, and if the pit is not perfectly smooth, perfectly level, that's the only way they can ensure the measurements are accurate.
Well, we're due to have 16 in the men's long jump T47. Paralympic champion is Rabiel Sol Cervantes of Cuba, and the world champion is China's Wang Hao. Young and old, enjoying both the track and field. Wonderful to see. Pictures being taken. Schedules being looked up as well. And fans enjoying their favourite athletes. France and Brazil well represented. Early in the morning to be yawning.
No, it's not.
So we're just about ready to introduce the men's long jump T47 to the crowd on the home straight, where they're all preparing for what they hope, crowd and athletes alike, some more records. Every time I work on para-athletics events, it surprises me how many records fall day after day after day. Georgios Kostakis of Greece, a lifetime best of 681 for him. He'll be first to go into the pit, and what a championships has been for Brazil. Bruno dos Santos has been more on the track. He'll be hoping to bring something to the field. 7:06, his lifetime best. Ahmedbek Kazanov of Uzbekistan. Haven't they had a championship so far? Uzbekistan. Every time you look, Steph Reed made a point yesterday that every time she sees an Uzbekistan athlete, she takes more notice now. That tells you something. Zhao Yalong, 6:67, his lifetime best. Only 6:37 so far this year. Dallas Wise is there as well. This man, Sol Cervantes, is the Paralympic champion. 20 years of age. Abdullah Elgaz of Turkey, 6'10". He'll be looking to push that lifetime best up a little bit higher. Alberto Nicolas Perez of Argentina, season best, which is a lifetime best, is set this year of 6'84". Abdurrahman Yusuf Shabib of Egypt.
Representing Kenya, Kiprono
Vincent Mutai of Kenya, as we move in to the big guns. We saw a fan of Ano Asamani in the crowd, and he took bronze in 2004 back in Athens, gold in 2008 in Beijing. He was a silver medalist in London 6 years ago, looking to get back onto the podium again. Silver medalist in 2016, gold medalist in 2017 and 19 at the past two Worlds. It is Wang Hao who is defending champion. Nemanja Matijevic of Serbia hasn't pushed past the 7-meter mark yet this year. And the man who's already taken gold in the high jump, he took gold back in 2016 in Rio, silver in the last Paralympics, and silver in 2015 in Doha and 2019 in Dubai. It is Roderick Townsend. Vladimir of Namibia, the second last of the jumpers to be introduced. And last but not least, from Cameroon, Africa, well represented, Buba Ibrahim.
They are the finalists of the men's long jump T47.
So that is due to get underway very shortly indeed. Long jump we'll move back to. You can see it there right behind the start of the 100-meter line as we race our way down the track, looking back at where the athletes will be moving from if they were to start at the 100. This is the finishing straight. Long jump away to your left as you look at that screen. These are wonderful shots from our buggy, which I'm sure is going to be donated to me come the end of these championships because I like it so much. It provides wonderful shots, as you saw there, to move around, and that is the beginning of what will be the men's 1500 meters T54. The opening heat is about to go in that category, and Will Downing will take you through all the action on that one.
Morning, everyone. Marcel Hoog, the world record holder, the ultimate, certainly these days when it comes to this T54, the fastest of the wheelchair races. There are so many spectacular racing categories in para-athletics, and this is right up there at the summit. 2 heats, 2 semi-finals basically, 3 to progress to the final. So Marcel Hug going in this, having already won the 5,000 meters here.
1500 meters, T54.
Considering that everybody's already raced this week, apart from Conjen, he's the only one out of these 8 to have won a medal so far in Paris.
Lane 1, representing Austria.
Starting off with the 6th placer in the 1500 meters final 2 years ago in Bydgoszcz. It's Ludwig Walter of Austria, the 6-time Paralympic, 10-time world, 13-time European champion, the silver bullet Marcel Hug of Switzerland. Next up, the Asian Games silver medalist in the 15 last time out, bronze in the 15 and the 5 at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, Puteret Kongrak of Thailand. Next up for France, his last world medal, 2015. Time for something new. Julien Casselet of France. Major championship debut on a global basis for the man who finished 10th of the 5,000 here, Sam Rizzo of Australia from Buninyong. Next up, bronze in the 8 at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, the 11 times world championship medalist Sajjan Kongen. Next up, 9th in the 5,000 meters here from the UAE, Badr Abbas Al-Hassani. And the Commonwealth Games 1500 meters champion on the outside for Great Britain. It'll be a busy day for his household, Nathan Maguire.
Is hit one of the men's 1500 meters, T54.
Decent, talented field as usual. Maguire was 5th in the 400 final. Top 3 to progress, and the next 4 fastest in the 1500. So they are away. Hug actually didn't win a gold at the last World Championships, 2 silvers and a bronze, but don't worry, he made up for it. 100% strike rate in the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Maguire taking up the early work. Julien Casselet still medaling heavily on a European basis. 2 silvers, 2 bronzes in the last 2 European Championships. Malta, Rizzo, Kongen. Hug is quite happy where he is at the moment in 6th spot with 3 laps to go. But there was a point during Rio when we were all thinking, well, he's never won a Paralympic gold. Will he ever win one? The last 6 attempts, he's won 6 out of 6. He is unbeatable when it comes to the Paralympic Games. But what about this morning in this semi-final? Casselet, Maguire, Malta, the 1, 2, 3.
I was so interested to see how Marcel was going to play this. At the moment, he's just kind of hanging at the back, and to be honest, I wonder if some of the other competitors are wondering, oh, I really wish Marcel had just gone to the front and pulled us to a really, really fast time, just so we could all qualify in all the qualification spots. And I'm just wondering where he's going to make his move. As you can see, the wheelchairs themselves are quite long. They're about 2 meters. So at the moment, he's probably sitting about 10 meters back from the front, and he's going to have a little bit of work to do. He's not worried. He's actually just making his move right now. He's having to go 3 wide, but when you're Marcel, you're completely fine going a little bit of extra distance to get where you want to be.
Guess what? 2 laps to go. 3 racers all on the line, and Marcel Hug is one of those. Casselet taking it up on the inside. Nice smattering of French fans early this morning. Maguire in 2nd spot. Malta up into 3rd place. He's never reached a global final yet. This would be a perfect place in which to do it. He's a former sprinter, actually. When he made his big bow in the Europeans in Berlin 5 years ago, he was in 5 events, including the 100. But now he's concentrating solely on the 15 and the 5 here. So Casselet, Maguire, who Kongrak's beginning to make a little bit of a move as well, I think, Steph.
Well, the best position to be in right now is Kongrad, who is sitting just behind Marcel, because he knows that Marcel is going to make a move, and right now he looks very happy just to sit there and cover it.
The bell is coming.
And unfortunately right now, that's what happens. He just got boxed in. That's now not where you want to be, but things can just change all the time in this race. That is the bell lap.
Casselet, Maguire, Hug, the 1, 2, 3. And Kongen on the outside. Malta is now boxed in a little bit. The maximum that could go through from this is 7. It depends how fast it is. It's been somewhat tactical so far. But Castley's now beginning to make a good move, extending ahead of Maguire. Hoog is in 3rd spot, Congret in 4th. Sam Rizzo for Australia going very well in 5th place. Castley now beginning to be overtaken on the outside. Hoog has made his big move, and the 2 Thai athletes as well, Congret and Congen, are moving up. Hoog, Congen, Congret, that's the 1, 2, 3. Maguire's in 4th spot, and Castley, who led for a good bit of that, was 5th. Sam Rizzo in 6th place, and the main mover made the main move of this race. Hoog, Congret, Congen. They are the 3 automatically in the final, and the rest will have to hang on a little bit. Nice move, I have to say, by the way, by Sam Rizzo, coached by Richard Coleman, the Paralympic 800 champion in 04 and 2012. But Marcel Hoog is, well, Marcel Hoog. Him, Congret, Congen in the final.
So just to put into context, in the world of wheelchair racing, it's probably fair to say that the 1500 is considered the marquee event, and the reason is exactly what we just saw. It's fast, it's aggressive, there are tactics, you can get boxed in, and it is completely unpredictable. Now, I was a little surprised to see that Marcel wasn't that interested in the lead at the beginning, simply because he could have easily just gone to the front and pulled a fast race and stayed clear. But what he did was he sat back and he waited, he bided his time, and he made his move. And what we saw there was a great showcase of the speed that he has. And when you have that kind of speed and that change of acceleration, it gives you so many options as a racer.
He is the world record holder in this and so many other disciplines. And right now, he is the most confident man around. You wouldn't necessarily expect him to win every gold medal race, but at the same time, you wouldn't be surprised.
But what we also saw there was the incredible racing brains of the Thai athletes, Congret and Congen. They are so good at positioning themselves exactly where they wanted to be. They knew they just needed to be in the top 3, and they were in the right position to then swing wide and be able to get a clear sprint, whereas Nathan Maguire, he did so well and sprinted, he just ran out of room.
No worries for Marcel Hoog. So Hoog, Congret, Congen are the 3 who do progress. Maguire, Castley, Rizzo are the ones who are waiting right now to see if they'll be in the 4 next fastest. And the curiosity in the Southeast Asian Para Games, the ASEAN Para Games that were held last month, there were only 3 T54 medal events, the 1, the 2 and the 4, so a lot of their best racers weren't involved, and Atawat Pangnua won them all.
So I discovered this morning when we came quite early, a lot of these racers in the T54 events, they were really happy because the race was up first, which meant they can warm up on the racetrack. And so the warm-up track here actually only goes to about 300 meters, and it's missing one of the corners. So they've often been warming up on rollers, which is good, but not ideal.
The stadium's right by the Périphérique, which is the big orbital motorway around Paris. So it goes, I think it goes under the Parc de France, and it cuts off the training park here.
So the men's long jump T47 final out in front at the moment. Robbie also Cervantes, the reigning Paralympic champion this year, with his first jump is Shabib of Egypt. 640 his lifetime best. That also his season best he set earlier this year.
Shabib just got a red flag there, which is, it was close. He's going to have to go back and reset that. But in this heat, or in this final especially, there are 16 men, and only 8 of them are going to get their final jump. So it's almost like a mini final within a final, and your first goal is to be in that top 8 when it comes to the cutoff at the 3rd round.
Yeah, and Dallas Wise, who picked up a bronze in the high jump T47 behind his compatriot Roderick Townsend, who's in this, does not start. He's withdrawn prior to the competition taking place, so we have one less, so that there's only 15 in this competition now, and it's Mutai who's due to go next of Kenya. So 7 will miss out after their opening 3 attempts. Mutai's lifetime best of 6:65, season best of 6:59. Well, that looked okay off the board. White flag is given, so a legal attempt for Mutai's first. And it looked pretty good indeed.
Now, in terms of classification, the men's T47 event is for an arm impairment, and one of the most challenging things in the long jump for anyone is controlling your rotation in the air, and so only having one limb to do that makes it even more difficult, but I'd love to see Mutai's action in the air there.
Well, Mutai's come up with 6:58 for him. He's a centimetre below his season best. He moves into 3rd position. Yeah, this is a category that has T46s and T47s in that men's long jump T47 competition. But we have the second of the men's 1500 metres T54, and in this race, Mr. Steph Reed.
He's going to love that you keep calling him that.
I'm trying to make sure we're even across the board. So when I have to introduce you for anything in future, whether we be at or whatever it may be, I'll call you Mrs. Brent Lakatos. We're ready to go, and the athletes will be introduced to the crowd imminently.
Lane 1, representing Australia,
Jake Lappin of Australia, 4th in the 1500 metres. He took Commonwealth Games gold last year. Thibaut Dora of France, 8th in the 5,000 metres already, 20-year-old making his major championship debut. Suzuki Tomoki of Japan. Japanese always strong in the wheelchair events, much like the Thai and the Swiss. He won the 2020 Tokyo Marathon. Daniel Sibry has already medalled here at these games with bronze in the 5,000 metres. He was 6th in this event in the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. And the only T53 athlete to go in this field, Brent Lakatos. Silver already in his 400 metres here. 1 Paralympic gold and 11 World Championship golds. He'll look to add to that. Kuwait's Faisal Araji, 4th in the 5,000 metres. Just missing out on the medal there. Cedric Ravet of Mauritius made his debut back in 2019 in Dubai. And last but certainly not least, the reigning world champion, Prawat Waharam of Thailand, silver in the 5,000 metres as he looks to defend his 1,500 metres title. Made his debut way back in Sydney 2000. Waharam also a gold medalist in 2016 in Rio and in 2019, of course, in those Worlds. And they are away as they head down that back straight, and we saw Marcel Hug not put much pace on in the opening heat, which he eventually ended up winning, the man who's the world and championship record holder. And this one, it'll be interesting to see what approach Waharam takes. He's currently sitting there in 3rd position. That was Brent Lakatos we saw there, who's currently 3 from the back and moving around, and it's very important to get yourself into a good position early in these races to make sure you don't get boxed in, and also that you don't get left too far behind and you're having to make up too much work, because this is in effect a semi-final. You don't want to be in a position where you're wearing yourself out in a semi-finalist. Lappin, as they go across the line with 3 laps to go, who leads at the moment. There's around 15 metres between them, Steph.
In some ways, at a 1,500 meter start, you kind of want to be in lane 1 because it gives you the advantage of choosing the position that you want. Right now, Lappin was in lane 1 and he's still in 1st. I'm not sure he wants to be pulling the field in this race, but as you say, when you're in 1st place, you have clear sight and there's no traffic behind you. Right now, Brent actually possibly not in the position that he wants to be. He's having to go wide, but if you're confident enough in your endurance, that's not an issue. The pace isn't super fast right now, so if there's any moves made, he can still cover it. But the one person we haven't spoken about yet is Daniel Sibry. Now, all the talk has been about Marcel, but we mustn't forget, Sibry has been extraordinarily close, just behind him in all of these races. And we know from the 400 he has one of the fastest speeds and changes of paces in this race. He is dangerous.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Daniel Sibry is sitting in 6th position at the moment, but you can throw a blanket over the field. There'll be a move that will come on. There's just under 2 laps remaining. Quite right, you mentioned about the 1500 where they all start together. The 800, of course, they all start in their lanes, and around the back straight, they end up moving in towards the closest lane on the inside of the track. As it is, they're all bunched in together, around 10 or 15 metres separating all of them at the moment. It is Lappin who still leads at the front from Durat, and Suzuki who's in 3rd position as a move comes on around the outside from the reigning world champion Prabhat Waharam, who moves into 3rd position. Brent Lakatos still 3 from the back, and he's now chasing after the wheel of Daniel Sibry in the purple you can see there, and trying to keep pace with him as they move around. And there's about 500 metres remaining in the second heat of the men's 1500 metres T54 wheelchair category, and it's Lappin who has led the whole way with Waharam, the reigning champion, next to him. They take the belt, and they have 350 metres to go, and the pace remarkably quickens. It's only the first 3 who will qualify automatically through, and then it will be the next 4 fastest who advance to the final. And this one appears to have been a little bit quicker than what we've seen in the opening heat. They're really going for it now. Out in front is Waharam. Sibry's coming through there. Al-Haraji of Kuwait is also making a move. And Lakatos has had to come 3 wide around the outside. So he's gone deep because he's going to have to put some work in here to get himself into that top 3. He's working those arms down the outside. It's Waharam who's in front. Sibry in 2nd position. And I think Lakatos may have just got across the line there. Their photo for sure. But I think he's picked up that 3rd position, having had to go 3 wide. That will be a very tight one indeed. I can tell you, though, that the top 2, Waharam and Sibry, have gone through in that order. 3:21.54 is the time for Prabhat Waharam of Thailand. Sibry coming in 2nd position also goes through. And then we await to see who picked up the 3rd position, because it was tight. Brent Lakatos gets it in a time of 3:21.86 seconds. It was tight indeed. He sat 3 from the back for most of it. Then it's a work around the outside. He's got there by 0.01 of a second. That tells you how tight it was and how late he left his run. It's Al Rajihi of Kuwait who's coming in 4th position. Durat of France in 5th. Well, what did you make of that as you look on?
Oh, that was close. And again, what we saw there was it's almost like 3.5 laps of everybody just jockeying for position, and then it all comes down to where you are and if you have the speed at the end. And what was happening there, we see it was actually, I thought, quite a pedestrian start, and you saw that Lappin and Duro found themselves at the front of a race perhaps they didn't want to be at the front of, but what a great experience for Duro. It's very rare that you see such a young athlete come in, because it takes so many years to develop strategically. But what happened here is, on the outside, you had a line of some of the fastest men in the field going. So we had Waharam leading, we had Sibry, and then we had Brent. And you're perfectly happy sitting wide and behind someone if you know that is the person who's going to sprint, because you just sit on them, you use their draft. The problem is that when you come round, and right now Brent is just sitting behind Al-Haraji, and he's got to get round because he was boxed in earlier, so he had to go wide. So again, you're having to make this decision. Do I go wide to give myself the best shot? He lost distance, but Brent had to trust enough in his top speed right to the end that he was going to cliff him. And oh my goodness, that was close. But that is what happens when you've been doing this for years and you can read races well. That is what you need to win a 1500.
Well, I know this is television, but Steph Reed, sitting next to me as they came down the last 100 metres, had her hands up in the air and she was panicking. I could sense it next to me, and when he got across the line, I could see a bit of a fist pump as her husband Brent Lakatos goes across in 3rd. Absolutely. And I can tell you this, due to the speed of that heat, they were a bit slower. It looked quicker at the end, but the 3 who go through, Waharam, Sibry and Lakatos, qualify. The remaining qualifiers come from the opening heat. Maguire, Castley, Risso and Ludwig Malta go through into the final. So the opening heat, quicker, and 4 from that opening one with Marcel Hug go through to the 1500 metres men's T54 final. So shows how important it is to finish in that top 3 as we head back towards the men's long jump, T47.
Yeah, opening exchanges of this. Roderick Townsend-Roberts, who was so excellent the other night in reclaiming his high jump title, a new world record of 2:16. Always tends to do that in a major championships, and he's currently lying in second spot in this ambulant final. So Bruno dos Santos of Brazil currently lying in 4th position, 6:65. A little bit off the pace in terms of the medals, 31 centimeters away. Robiel Sol Cervantes of Cuba is our leader on 7 meters 60 in this decider. He's just hanging on a little bit for this attempt as well. He's still got 40 seconds to take in this. It's a nice calm day. There's a slight breeze just blowing slightly across as he comes now. He's planted in well. And that's a fair jump for Bruno dos Santos. It's a good bit of congestion behind him. Mutai of Kenya is only 7 centimeters down. Kasanov 6:44 is not that far away either.
On a long jump runway, you need to build huge speed, as much velocity as you would on 100 meters. That's a great shot there, right there, foot placement. I don't think you can get any better. And the advantage of planting so firmly on the board is that you get a really solid surface to jump off of. But when it comes to speed, all you have to do is make sure that you are at speed at the board. It doesn't matter how quickly you got there, and I really like how he built his runway.
Well, he's showing good consistency. That was 6:61. From the home straight to the back straight, we have our first track final of day 6 ready to go. It's the women's 1500 meters T54 final. The record holders are in this. The reigning European champion, Paralympic champion, Commonwealth Games silver medalist, World Junior champion. There's a lot going on in this quality field. On the inside, the reigning European champion from Switzerland, Patricia Akers. €8 and 1500 Euro champion. Next, the World Junior champion from 2019 from Crockwell in County Galway. Championship debut for Shanna Bouquet for Ireland. The reigning European, 3-time world and Paralympic champion. The latter over 400 meters. Going for a hat-trick of golds here. Catherine de Brunner of Switzerland. Outside her, the reigning European champion over 1500 and the 4 as well. A couple of 5th places here so far for Merle Menya for Germany. Next up, in 5, having just won her first track world title in the 800, Manuela Schär of Switzerland, the reigning European champion formerly. Championship debut in 6 for China, 6th in the 5,000 here, 8th in the 800, Tian Yazhuan. Next up for Great Britain, the Commonwealth Games silver medalist in the marathon in Birmingham last year, 4th in the 5,000 final here, Eden Rainbow Cooper. Next up for Belgium, bronze in the 100 meters final at the Euros in Bydgoszcz 2 years ago, Leah Bayakula, semi-finalist in the 8 here. Next up, the reigning Paralympic champion over 1500 meters and 100, Zhao Zhequan. Asian champion currently in the 1 and the 2. And on the outside, the 13-time world track champion, the 8-time Paralympic champion, Tatiana McFadden. Brilliant field in this. Manuela Schär and Catherine de Brunner have won goals already this week. Tatiana McFadden, for most of her career, she has won nothing but. So we're underway. Ikas, Bouquet, De Brunner, Menya, Shah, Tian, Rainbow Cooper, Bayakula, Zhu, and McFadden in this women's 1500 meters T54 final. The strongest physically and the fastest of the wheelchair racers. De Brunner making a good move on the inside immediately with Manuela Shah. They've had some great jousts so far this week. They won 3 gold medals and 1 silver between them. It was De Brunner 1 and Shah 2 in the 5,000 final, and they're the 1 and 2 right now, coming through ahead of Tian and Zhu and Bayakula with 3 laps to go.
You can see at the beginning there was a bit of a tussle, a bit of a fight for that leading spot. Both Shah and De Brunner wanted it. But again, when you have speed, and this just comes down to the sort of toolkit that you need to do a 1500 meters well, you can position yourself, and De Brunner is an excellent sprinter. But if you can't have the lead, the next best thing is what Cher's doing right now, which is sitting behind the fastest woman. The problem is that there's a danger she can get boxed in there, and that is not where you want to be, particularly not as the race carries on.
It's interesting that Menya in lane 1, completely on the inside, was allowed just to glide up behind the 2 Swiss very early on. Bouquet just at the back of the field for Ireland. Next time they come around, there'll be 2 laps to go. De Brunner 1, Shah 2, Menya 3 did really well with that maneuver. Tian and Zhu up there in 4th and 5th as well, and Bayakula in 6th. It's really slowed down now. 2 laps to go.
You could just see what happened there with Tian. She had to make a major adjustment because she realized that if she didn't, there's always a danger in these races that's going to be crashes. Now, in terms of rules and regulations, you are responsible for maintaining your chair, and you have to give way and you have to give position to the other athletes. And as you mentioned before, Menya did really well. Sometimes athletes are so concerned about moving outwards and making athletes go around them. A tiny little gap opens up in the middle, and you just have to be aware and looking around constantly, ready to make that move without hesitation.
That big move is coming very shortly. It's De Brunner and Shah still 1 and 2. Menya is there. We haven't mentioned McFadden's name yet. She's on the outside in 5th spot in a prime place. On the inside, it's Bayakula currently in 4th place, but the bell's coming, the injection's coming as well. It's De Brunner, it's Shah, it's Menya, the 1, 2, 3 as they take the bell. And also moving up is Tian in 4th place. Now the big injection of pace is going to go. McFadden trying to make a move on the outside. And also Rainbow Cooper, who's back a bit, but still trying to make some movement to get into an outside lane. It's De Brunner and Shah, the 1 and 2. Menya and Bayakula, who's doing brilliantly so far, looking for her first global championship medal. Switzerland 1 and 2, as it was earlier in the week in the 5,000. De Brunner's been in really great form, took a break for a couple of years, recharged the batteries, concentrated on her teaching work. It has gone brilliantly for her, and she's leading the way coming into the closing straight. It's De Brunner and Shah beginning to pull away. Menya, Zhu, Akers, 3, 4 and 5. De Brunner moving up ahead of Manuela Shah. It could be a 3rd gold. It will be a 3rd gold for Catherine De Brunner. Shah in 2nd place. It's Zhu 3, Akers 4, Menya 5. Rainbow Cooper in 6th place. It is a World Championship hat-trick for the revitalized Catherine De Brunner. Manuela Shah picks up the silver. It's the same 1-2 as the 5,000 meters final. What a week Catherine De Brunner is having. A championship record, 3:22.02, breaking the mark from London 2017 from Tatiana McFadden. Catherine De Brunner, just a really marvelous success for her. Zhu, with the silver in the 8, now picks up the bronze in the 1500 meters. But she took a little bit of time out from her sport, and she has come back, and she loves it more than ever. Wouldn't you with those results?
It was no secret that De Brunner was coming in great form. She has already broken world records in the 100, 400, 800, and 1500 meters this year. And you can see there, she knew her plan from the start. De Brunner wanted to be in front, and she is fighting for that position. It was great that she had the inside lane draw. And part of the reason she wanted that position is, again, at 1,500 meters, there can be a lot of jostling. You have to be in position. You can get caught behind people. Whereas if you can go to the front and maintain that position and be confident enough. See, when you're at the front, you can control the pace as well. So what she will have done is picked a pace where it's not super taxing for her. So she'll know that even if someone's drafting behind her, she's not concerned. She wasn't concerned that Shar was behind her the whole time because she knew that when it came to the final sprint, she still felt like she had the top speed to outsprint her. And as we see, she most certainly did.
Well, De Bruyne has put a tremendous amount of work in. She was known a few years ago as a sprinter. She's still the 100 meters champion. But she's got the extra power. She's a marathoner as well these days. Arno Mol from the Netherlands, her coach these days. De Bruyne, Shah, Zhu, the 1, 2, 3. And she's using her sprinting speed so well. And this week, Catherine De Bruyne is a triple world champion. New championship record as well of 3:22. A lot of hard work, a lot of concentration. Hundreds and hundreds of laps a week. And she's got the great reward. McFadden was 9th in the end, and a lifetime best in 10th for Shauna Bouquet, 3:31.05. The championship debutant in this at the age of 19. Catherine De Bruyne's career has built and built and built. Switzerland 1-2 again. De Bruyne the gold, Shah the silver, Zhu the bronze, championship record as well. Ikas 4, Menya 5 in this 1,500 meters T54. Rainbow Cooper in 6th. Lifetime best for Beakula, lifetime best for Bouquet. Improving all the time. It's been a successful week, therefore.
Women's javelin throw F56 seeded final. That lady you see there is the reigning Paralympic champion of Iran, Hashemiya Motighian. This her 5th attempt. She's currently 22.78. She is in the lead because she is first to go. All 6 throws at the same time. And that one looks well over the 20-meter mark. 22.78, her best thus far. That must be pushing up towards 23.
You can see the range and the speed that she's trying to generate with her upper body before she releases, and that it's a combination of that speed and that it's almost like a reflex slingshot that really gives that javelin the distance. And just a note, it's fine if the javelin doesn't stick with the tip as long as the referee is confident on the marking.
The season best then for Motighian. She is in first place, 22.95, as we move back to the long jump, which is also proceeding on this morning on day 6. The men's long jump T47, and it is Wang Hao, the reigning world champion, who is set to go next. His opener, 6.96, places him in 3rd position. Well, that was pushing the edge of the board, but it is a legal jump. White flag is given. And Wang, silver in 2016. He's won the last 2 World Championship golds, but he has a amount of work to do here.
I've been watching the jumpers just trying to work out how they determine which leg they take off at takeoff, because obviously we'll have a dominant leg, but it's curious to see whether or not they're going to match that dominant leg to the arm that they use to drive, because the arm drive is also really important in this event.
Well, Wang hasn't improved, 6.89. This year his best is 7.03. His lifetime best 7.53. So he's down somewhat on his best. You can see there a season best for Townsend, who is in 2nd position behind Sol Cervantes. Townsend already having won that long jump final a couple of evenings ago. And Sol Cervantes, who's the Paralympic champion from Cuba, is looking very strong. He has a lead at the moment of 29 centimeters, as Matejsevic of Serbia is next up. Now his lifetime best is 7.07. He fouled with his first. He needs a mark. Well, that looked all right. Actually looked really good on the board. You could hear the whack as he takes off. And I think when we see a replay of that, he might have been pushing the absolute limits.
I always love watching the different ways long jumpers start their runway. Some will start from a static start and drive out, much like what you would see in 100 meters. Some will have a little bit of a skip. He did a little bit of a skip, and you are right. When you hear that whack, it is so satisfying as a jumper because you know that you really nailed that one.
It's satisfying as a commentator.
I mean, we could hear it all the way from over here. And when you get that whack or that you see, that's when you know that you've really been able to transfer all of that wonderful speed that you've carried on the runway into power. That's why we heard that whack. He was smack in the middle of that wooden board, and hopefully he gets rewarded.
He has been rewarded. 7:05. It puts him in the third position. It's a season best for Matejcevic. He's only 2 centimeters off his lifetime best. Into the bronze medal position, Wang, the reigning world champion, is now relegated down to 4th for the time being. So Roderick Townsend, the high jump gold medalist, is up next on the runway.
Magnificent in the high jump. A real entertainer. His wife was here watching him in competition for the first time, and she saw him break a world record the other night. That's his main strength, but he ain't bad in this either. That's not going to be an improvement on the 7:31. That's going to be under 7 meters, but it's quite a double always to go for the long jump and the high jump.
There's actually quite a lot of similarities between high jumping and long jumping. The difference is just the direction of the force vectors. So you're generating speed on a straight runway on the long jump versus the curve on the high jump, and then obviously high jump you're trying to jump high, and here you're trying to convert that to jump far. But it's always interesting watching the long jumpers who have a high jumping background, because you can see they tend to get a little bit more height on their jumps.
Silver in the long jump in the last 2 global championships. That's where he is right now.
So back to the track, and the next final of the morning session, the second of 4 on the track. Men's 1500 meters T11 final. Complete visual impairment. Jelson Jacks, the reigning Paralympic champion and the world record holder, goes in this one. He set that world record at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Talking of Japan, Karasawa Kenya, season best time in the heat, 4th in his home Paralympics in 2020. Already won the gold here in the 5,000 metres, that in a championship record, now going for the double. World record holder will go in lane 4, Jelson Jacks. But the first of the Brazilians, Julio Cesar Agrippino, went through as the fastest qualifier. He's the reigning world champion. Wadashinya, 4th in the 5,000 metres. We'll go from lane 3 at the beginning. Jelson Jacks, bronze in that 5,000 already. Paralympic champion. Alexander Kosakovsky will be outside him, who was 4th back in 2015 in Doha, bronze in 2017 and 19, and 4th at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. And Jimmy Caicedo, major championship debut for the Ecuadorian, was 6th in the 5,000 metres. So the one athlete who went through as a fastest qualifier, Agrippino, who is the reigning world champion from 2019. So you need a bit of luck to win these things sometimes. You also need a bit of kick in the backside sometimes, and that might be what he got to get him going for this. So they're away, the men's 1500 metres T11 final, 3 3/4 laps. When they come around and go across the finishing line, they will have 3 laps remaining. This, of course, complete visual impairment, and we've already had one athlete who's pulled out, and it is Agrippino. Well, The man who went through as my fastest qualifier, Agrippino, who's the world champion, is out already. We'll find out what's gone on there, but there he is walking away from the track with his guide, and as soon as he's taken off, he's left the track. Now, he's not limping there, but he's obviously got an issue as he walks away. So we'll get news on that as we have it. But 3/4 of a minute into this race with 3 laps to go, we'll head back to it because it is another Brazilian in Jeltsin Jacks who leads. So one Brazilian out. The world champion is gone. He's out of this race. We now have 5 left, and it is Brazil out in front through Jeltsin Jacks. That is a surprise, Steph Reed.
That is a huge surprise. I was expecting to see Agrippino go straight to the front like he has in the 5,000 and in the previous heats. I have no idea what happened there. I didn't see it. There doesn't look to be an injury. The tether still looks intact. We'll have to wait to catch up with there. But there's still a very exciting race going on, and I'm very interested to see what Kosakowski is going to do with his guide, because what we have seen in every race so far in the 5,000 and in the 1,500 meter heats, they know how to time their move perfectly. They're more than happy to sit and to wait and to watch. The danger is if you sit and wait too long and you watch, then you watch the person in front of you run away.
Well, I can tell you Jeltsin Jacks has used up a lot of juice in those opening 1 3/4 laps, and he's out in front, but it's only about 20 metres or so. And in second place, Karasawa looks, well, pretty good. And Kosakowski, who you mentioned, is leading that group of 3 at the back there that we see come around the bend right now. He's in the red shorts and the white top at the front there with his guide, and he's looking very relaxed and very calm, even though, in effect, he's around 60 metres behind the leader, Jeltsin Jacks. So a lot of work to do there, but Jacks, just because he's out in front with 600 metres to go, doesn't mean he's necessarily going to win this race, because you can tighten up somewhat towards the end. If you lose that synchronicity with your guide, then you're in trouble. Karasawa looking very smooth indeed as his pace quickens somewhat. We haven't changed too much when they came around to this position on the last lap, so there's 500 metres remaining for Jeltsin Jacks as he moves into the home straight for the penultimate time, and he'll take the bell when he goes across. But the big news already in this one is that the reigning world champion did not finish. Agrippino went out 5 metres after the start, and he has not finished this race. They take the belt. It is the reigning Paralympic champion, Jeltsin Jacks, who goes across first. It is Karasawa who set a season best in the heat, across in the second position, and Kosakowski, well, he's 40 metres further back at the moment from Jeltsin Jacks. About 8 metres or so in front of him is Karasawa, and way out in front, 35 metres in fact, it is the reigning Paralympic champion, Jeltsin Jacks, who is going down the back straight. The chase is on. It's Kosakowski who's going to go past Karasawa in a minute, but I think he may have left it too late. We shall see in a moment or two's time. As far as the gold medal position goes, there's 150 metres remaining for Jeltsin Jacks. He's still looking very smooth in front. Kosakowski there on the right of screen. Karasawa's realised through his guide that he's got to chase on behind him. The battle is on for the silver medal and the bronze. But out in front, it is Jeltsin Jacks of Brazil. Bronze in the 5,000 metres already at these World Championships. He's going to add a gold medal to it. 50 metres to go. He's down to 20 to 10. He goes across and takes it. 4:03.79, and that is a new championship record. Karasawa has just got across to take the silver medal, and Kosakowski with the bronze. Unofficial time at the moment, but it looks like Jeltsin Jacks, who holds the world record, now holds the championship record. Is broken. 4:03.79. Confirmation of that he's broken it by just under a second. Well, he's the Paralympic champion. He's the world champion. He also holds the world and championship record holder. He led from start to finish. What a race. What a runner. What unbelievable scenes. So season best for Karasawa, Kosakowski with a lifetime best, but here you can see walking around the far side, that there is Julio Cesar Agrippino, the former world champion who withdrew very early on in this race with his guide. Well, scenes of joy. I wish I could do them after about 100 metres, let alone running a 1,500 metre race.
Well, just in case you had any questions about his fitness, I think those were just answered. Now maybe we can get a look at just what happened there.
Well, he's literally just switched across and pulled up. I'm just wondering there whether he switched sides as he's gone across. Just watch here. So nothing's happened. Well, I think he's just had a word with his guy. And they've run across, and he was almost running towards the edge of the track as soon as they started out. Agrippino, he slammed his hand into his other one. Well, it looks like the tether's intact, so it wasn't an issue with that. From what we can see there, he's shaking ahead. Well, you would think by looking at that, there was an issue with the tether.
There's definitely there's frustration in that this was not expected. They were planning on running that race, and I did wonder if there was an issue with the tether, and perhaps it just wasn't set. But let's focus on this man, Jacques, who, well, what happened with Kurosawa? I was kind of expecting him to chase Jacques down, but what he did was he took that initial lead, and Jacques then extended it, and that's what you have to do. You have to make it decisive. And when you're in Kurosawa's position, you then have to realize, okay, the gold medal is gone. What is the opportunity still here? And for him, it was that silver. But he really had to hold off Kosakowski.
This guy looked absolutely exhausted when he went across the line there, and I think he's being held up by the athlete. That just shows you how important it is with the guy. Now here is Agrippino, and now he's showing the tether there, and he doesn't look very happy. His guide is... Well, the body language doesn't look fantastic there, does it? Now, I know he's not finished the race and he went out very early, but it's certainly not an injury. I'd be very surprised if that's an injury. That looks more like a equipment malfunction of some type. But anyway, Agrippino, the reigning world champion, didn't finish. Went out after about 10 metres. Championship record for his compatriot Yelchin Jacques, who's the now world and Paralympic champion with those world and championship records. Kurosawa of Kenya picking up a silver. And in third place, it is Kosakowski of Poland. So, well, that was interesting. This is interesting as well. The javelin throw, we'll go back to that in a minute. But there is the man who's the world champion. And for Kurosawa, adds a silver medal to that gold he took in the 5,000 metres. That was a championship record. This here, a season best for him. So the Japanese is having a good time of things as well.
No time to breathe. It is now the final of the men's 1,500 metres T13, the category of least visual impairment. But you are realistically talking a maximum of 20% vision. So first of all, for Turkey, for Turkey, global championship debut from Mikhail Al, the Turkish record holder. Championship debut as well for a man who finished fourth in the 5,000 metres champion from Morocco, Usama Mimza.
He's the America's record holder, which is also the
11th in the 1,500 metres final in the last World Championships for the USA, Joel Gomez. The famous victor in Rio of this. It was faster than the slower tactical Olympic 1,500 metres final. That's Abdelatif Baka of Algeria. Next up, Akraf Lahouel of Tunisia. Outside him for Kenya, fifth in the 5,000 metres final, John Lekedi.
representing Tunisia.
Next up for Tunisia, we'll also see him in the 400 later on, Rai Jababli, should I say, apologies. And on the outside, the 5,000 metres world champion for this week, Yassine Dadi Alatabi of Spain.
It's the final of the men's 1,500 meters T13.
So it's the T13 visual impairment category, the men's 1,500 metres. World record held by Baka from Rio 2016. He is the defending champion. Championship record from 4 years ago at the last World Championships. So it's Mikhail Al, Mimza, Joel Gomez, Abdelatif Baka, Lahouel, Lekedi, Jababli, and Udali Elatabi. A very good victory in the 5,000 meters. In terms of the visual impairment categories, it's even tougher for the much longer racers. You've seen that. It's not very often that you'll see the entire field finish, as was the case in the T11 final just a few moments ago. Abdulatif Bakar, I know a lot was made, and it might have annoyed some people involved solely in able-bodied athletics that a lot was made. The fact that the Paralympic 1500 final was faster than the Olympic final, but just to make the point that we're watching two athletes here in this as well. Nice gap with 3 laps remaining. Lakadi's got a good advantage over Gomez of the United States. Jababli, Udada, Al and Bakar waiting to pounce down in 6th place, the defending champion.
Lakadi is certainly the one who started taking it on, but if you are going to make a move, it has to be decisive. Otherwise, this is exactly what happens. The pack catches up to you and starts to eat you up, and now you're back in the same position, and yet you've used that little bit of energy. But equally, some athletes will use that as a bit of a tactic. You surge and stop and surge and stop. And what that surging does is having to sprint, it just drains the strength out of your legs, and perhaps he's hoping that will work into his favor later on in the race. And I do remember those headlines in 2016, and you're right. I know some people just said, well, the Olympic race is quite tactical, but what I loved was that we already knew how awesome para-athletes was, and it was just great to see the rest of the world wake up to it.
Well, this is a nice bunch together, 1,500 meters, 2 laps to go. Lakadi leading Gomez, Jababli's in 3rd spot, Udadi, Al, Bakar beginning to make a move on the outside. Even Hamimza, who's at the back in 8th spot, don't worry about him. There's a good movement being made by Gomez out towards the front for the United States. Bakar made a good move as well, and Udadi Elatabi going for the 1,500, 5,000 double. That is the big move, because he's leading.
Well, you could see Udadi Elatabi. He wanted to get to the front. There was a lot of action going on in that pack there. You saw some arms hitting each other. You have to fight and be really aggressive for that position. And the difference between the 1,500-meter ambulant runners and the wheelchair racers, it's much easier to maneuver a body than it is to maneuver a 2-meter-long wheelchair.
Bakar's quality. He's going for 3 in a row. Mimza has gone from last to first, and Lakadi has gone from first to last. That's athletics for you. Mimza biding his time, Udadi, Gomez, Al, they're all taking their turn to the front. Lots of jostling, particularly on the outside. Bit of movement finally coming from Mimza as they take the bell, and it's Jababli who's moved up now. Back in 2nd place, Udadi, so in 2nd and 3rd, respectively, the world and Paralympic champions.
You can see what happened on that previous lap. This final lap, what matters is where you are and where you are when you make that move. And nobody wants to be stuck on the inside, boxed in. And right now, El Udadi, it looks like he was just trying to find some room on the inside, but that door seems to have been shut. He's got to get himself out and go wide now if he wants to win this.
This is some sprint. Jababli out in front, Bakar in 2nd place. Al has moved up into 2nd ahead of him right now. Bakar going for 3 in a row, but he's boxed in 3rd. Udadi, the 5,000 champion, is back in 5th spot. It's Jababli leading the way, and leading it well for Tunisia. And he's opening the gap up. Jababli, Al, Bakar, Udadi coming in the outside for silver, and he's taking it. Jababli's the world champion. Udadi Elatabi gets the silver, and Abdulatif Bakar looking for 3 in a row world titles. It's place number 3 for him instead. A dramatic victory, a brilliant success. Roy Jababli also going in the 400 meters. That would be some double. Abdulatif Bakar just was boxed in with about 150 to go. Obviously, he and his twin were in the medals, right up at the forefront in Rio in this final. And what a surge by Udadi Elatabi. A silver in the 1,500 to join the gold in the 5,000 meters. That was some finish. And with 100 to go, any one of the top 7 could have taken it. In the end, it was Roy Jababli.
That was a great show by Javelin of how to time that surge and how to win it. But I have to say, I was so impressed by Udadi Elatabe, because when you find yourself in a bad position, like he did, unfortunately, having to work himself out, you can't give up. Again, you have to ask yourself the question, what is the opportunity that I still have? And he did so well to come through and keep that speed right to the end to pick up that silver.
So lifetime best for Mikael Al in 4th place. But what a great victory for Roy Javelin. Well, Mikael Al, for a time when he went out in front in the final lap, I thought he was going to take it. He's only 21. It's his championship debut. He set a Turkish record earlier this year. Now, this is what you want in a race, because I think at all stages in this, they were all in front, including Lakady, who fell back quite a bit towards the end.
It's always interesting when you come into this race. Some athletes will come in with a very specific race plan and something they want to do. The problem is that it can all change at any second. If somebody wanted to treat this as a time trial, then you have to react. If it turns into quite a slow tactical race where you're jostling for position, then you have to ask yourself, can I out-sprint this person? And if I don't think I can, then at what point do I need to start winding this up? And you have a great shot there. You can see you have to respect the athletes in the position that they have, and you have to give them enough room. And if there isn't space, you have to respect that. But this here is Udadi Elatabe coming through, keeping his form right to the end. To be able to sprint like that at the end of a 15 is quite difficult. And there he goes, flying across the line.
And there was that stage when Mikael Al, who's a really robust runner, he got a little push in the back as well there from Latjov. But he kept going. So did Javelin. That was so tight. Al was only out of the medals by 0.4, and Javelin's looking, I'm sure, for support from the crowd instead of telling the rest, well, come on, keep up. Yeah, Al, I think, was losing his stride quite a bit, and maybe that's why he missed out on the medal, just on the inside there. What a brilliant 1,500 meters race. And Javelin takes the gold for Tunisia. Rally Javelin, the world champion, 4 minutes 0.23. Udadi Elatabe, the silver for Spain. And Abdelatif Bakar, no longer world champion, in this at least, bronze for Algeria. Mikael Al 4th with that lifetime best for Turkey.
Men's javelin. Here is Sumit, the Paralympic champion of India, with his first attempt. Men's javelin throw F64 final. Looking to make it Paralympic world double, and that is huge. Well, there are different categories competing in this one. Sumit, the F64, his world record in that is 68.55. The championship record he set in Dubai 4 years ago, that's 62.88. It looks past that. Looks well past that.
It is a beautiful thing to watch a javelin fly when you hit it well, and he knew he hit it well there. And oh, that shot there actually kind of makes me cringe, because you know how many forces are going through your body, because you've gotten all this speed and then you stop so suddenly.
Well, don't be confused. That's not Sandeep. You might see that down the bottom. This is Sumit, and that, his first attempt, is 70.83, which is a new world record for Sumit. What a throw. What distance. What an athlete. So the 100 metres coming up on the track. It'll be T34. Wale Katila, who holds the world and championship record, will go in heat number 2. Katila, the reigning world champion. But in this, well, there's some talent in this one as well, I can tell you. 6 to go. Only 3 to go through, definitely though, to the final. The next 2 fastest after that will qualify. Austin Smink, bronze in the 400 metres already here. already having a whale of a time at these championships. He was 6th back in 2016. He was 4th in 2017, was Smink, so he'll be looking to go one better. 20-year-old Nawad of the UAE in his first major championships in lane 4. Someone who's not at their first major championships is this man. Chabat Ratana, looking to make it a double, having won gold in the 400 metres. He was 4th back in 2019, just out of the medals in Dubai. Roberto Michel of Mauritius made the heats, didn't go any further in 2019. Mohamed Al-Kabasi of Qatar, likewise in the final he finished 7th in 2019. And Wang Yang, 20 years of age, 4th at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. He took bronze in the 400 in 2019. Also bronze in the 800 in 2020. So multi-talented. This though over a shorter distance, much more difficult to get going at the beginning. Austin Smink has had a good championship, but just to the right there, might cause him a bit of extra weight. He got rid of it quickly though. Might have thought it was something else. He'll be hoping he can fly like the butterfly down this track. So away they go in the men's 100 metres T34 opening heat, and getting away quickest of all, it's Ratana in the middle, but Smink is in 2nd position. It looks like those two are definitely going to qualify. Ratana in 1st, Smink in 2nd, and looking like they've just scraped through. It might be Michel actually, or Al-Kabasi. It was very tight there to see who got across in 3rd place in those automatic qualifiers. 15.11 for Ratana. There was no doubt about that. Smink will go through to another final, the Canadian in 2nd position. A new Asian record for Ratana. And it is in fact Wang who just got ahead of Roberto Michel and take that 3rd automatic qualification position. 15.78 for Wang. He goes through just 0.05 of a second ahead of the Mauritian. Well, Smink got rid of the butterfly. He flew himself, took 2nd position, but it is Chowat Ratana with a new Asian record of 15.11. Moving through into the final. Smink in 2nd, and it was Ratana you see here in the middle of his screen who gets away quickest, 3 from the far hand side, and he just powered out there, Steph.
Yeah, you can see when you know when athletes are putting a lot of power into their chairs, and you can see that front wheel just bobbing a little bit. It's not a huge issue. Ideally, you'd want it to be smooth, but sometimes when you are giving it everything you have, you can just see that little bit of bumping. We knew Ratana was fast. We saw him in the 400 set a new world record.
What's the difference between this category, the T34s, and what we saw in the T54s, for example?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so this is T34, this is a balance and coordination impairment class. And so what you will see here through their arms is that on a perfect stroke, what you want to see is symmetry. There's a certain point at which you want to hit your push rims on the wheel, a certain point at which you want to release and get that beautiful wrist flick that we see. And then if you have difficulty coordinating your arms, then sometimes you can see a little bit of a mismatch, which will then obviously impact your power and your velocity. But that's a great point. If you are new to sport, or even if you've been watching for years, it's always great to have a little refresher on the classifications.
It is, and if you want to see more, Paralympic.org is the place to go. A new Asian record for Ratana of Thailand goes through 1st, along with Smink and Wang, and all the way down to the bottom, a season best for Al-Kabasi as well in 6th position.
Glorious morning, as usual in Paris. Will Downing, Tolson Tollett, Stuff Reed with you all. Orange caps are out this morning, maybe supporting the Netherlands. Arno has his fans here. Great support here, as always. We'll be seeing a lot of Arno Somani a little bit later. School's day once more Few local football clubs being supported here, I see. Sumit is at the summit, 70-83 in this F64 men's javelin. He's got a great distance with that. Sent that out beyond the last marker. A major effort by Sumit. India currently have 3 in the top 6.
It must be such an interesting discussion to have with your prosthetist or your person who makes your leg, because in this instance, you need to have a leg that's almost like a sprint leg because you are sprinting, and then you need to have a leg that is going to stop immediately, and those legs tend to bounce back, so you have to find this balance.
Sumit, world record, 70-83 in round 1, 67-11 that time. Burian for Australia. 61.93 in the opening round. He's got that out just around 63 meters again, Mikhail Burian.
Just touching on classification again, this is a men's T64 javelin event, and a 64 is a lower leg impairment with a blade. However, in this event, they do allow T44s to also compete, and a T44 is a lower leg impairment that doesn't use a blade.
Yeah, there's a lot, isn't there? There's 42s, 43s, 44s, and 64s in this one, so it is a Heinz 57.
Burian 61.39 that was, stays in 3rd place, silver in Tokyo. On we go. Second heat of this men's T34 semi-final effectively. Top 3 to go through to the final. And we have a man who has perennially been in the top 1, but the other night in the 400 final wasn't in the top 3. First time ever. Wally Katila just checking out the track a little bit, which he has done so. He is the world record holder, he's the championship record holder, he's the reigning world and Paralympic champion, and he's trying to avoid what happened to him in the 400 the other night, where he finished outside the top 3. A status he is absolutely not used to, and neither are we. So in lane 3 for China, championship David on 5th in the 400, Gong Wenhao. In lane 4 for Australia, coached by the all-time great Louis Sauvage, it's the 10-time global medalist Reid McCracken, 8th in the 400 here. In lane 5, the 14-time world, 5-time Paralympic champion, and the defending champion in this, the world record holder, Wally Katila. In lane 6 for Finland, the reigning European champion, he's claimed 10 European golds, Henry Manny. In lane 7, silver in the 400 meters here, Paralympic 800 champion Mohammed Al-Hamidi of the United Arab Emirates. And in lane 8, championship debutant, gold in the 4 in the Tunis Grand Prix earlier this year, semi-finalist in the 400 at these Worlds, Ali Radi Rashid of Qatar. Top 3 to go through, plus the next 2 fastest across both heats. Katila, Mani, World Paralympic European title holders, Al-Hamidi, very strong in the longer distances, won bronze in the Paralympics in this 100. And away they go. And it's Wally Katila who's away well. Mani in 5, McCracken alongside. But it is Wally Katila who's got into his stride well, who's going to do the job this morning. He'll have a point to prove in the final. It's Katila, Mani and Gong the 1-2-3. 15.22 the winning time. That is his job done for the morning. It's actually quite speedy enough in terms of the championship record. He got into his stride well. It takes a while, obviously, compared to the, we'll say, the 54s or the 53s. It's a different kind of wheelchair racing altogether to the 50s, but Katila got away well. Mani, no problem, and actually Wong Geng Hao as well. In his championship debut, he's reached his second final, 5th in the 400. But Wally Katila, after all of his successes, how must he have felt the last 24 hours after not even medaling in the 400?
Well, it's the sign of a champion to come back and be able to make that decisive. And look, the reality is nobody wins forever. There will always be a point in your career when someone comes up, and that's when you have to ask yourself some questions about, okay, well, this is now a new phase, and how am I going to deal with it? And there he dealt with it very, very well. And I was actually just watching them at the start, and you notice a lot of these men are wearing long sleeves, and it is very, very hot. And there's two reasons I can think of why lots of them are wearing long sleeves. One is sometimes it's for a speed suit. I don't think that comes as much into the 100. So the only other reason I can think of is you can see the push rims right there that sit right inside their arms. And sometimes you will miss that rim and you end up with these slash marks all down your arms. And that's why wheelchair racers will sometimes race or train in long sleeves just to give those arms a little bit of protection.
And for Tunisia, Wally Katila, the final lap will take
Security all the way for Wally Katila in terms of his spot in the final. Katila takes it, 15.22. The top four all through: Henry Manny, Gong Wen Hao, Reed McCracken as well, as we go to the long jump.
T47. Wang set to go. This his fourth jump for the world champion. And that looks a bit further out there. 696, 689. This one pushing up around the 7 meter mark as well.
He's leading the event with 37 meters, 13 for People's Republic of China, Xue and Hugh.
That was a great shot there of what we would call the penultimate step. So as you're coming into the long jump, there's two strides that really matter. One, it's the second to last stride, which sets up your jump, and then obviously it is your takeoff. And we speak a lot about technique in long jump. On the one hand, you just need to run fast and jump far, but on the other hand, you spend years and years and years training that technique so you can take off at full speed and not have to decelerate into the board.
685. He stays in fifth position. He's chasing a third consecutive world title, and he's struggling somewhat at the moment. He is quite some bit back behind Saul Cervantes, who's the Paralympic champion at 760 with a championship record for him. So there's 64 centimetres that he has to make up if he's to get into first position. Not so much as far as getting into the medals go, about 9 or 10 centimetres for that. But he doesn't look like he's in his rhythm completely. This man was in his rhythm with his second jump, a season best 705 for Nemanja Matejcevic of Serbia. This will be jump number 4 for him. Lifetime best is 2 centimetres further than what he has jumped so far here. From the very back of the runway, Matejcevic. Well, that is out around that 7 metre mark. He gets the white flag, as you saw then, and it'll be interesting to see where he's been taking off from on the board. He's been consistent, barring that foul in his opener. And that looked really tight towards that plasticine, so you can't fault his takeoff, Steph.
No, if you fault, it's a foul, and the jump isn't measured, and that's perfect, because keep in mind, that board there, the white part, that's 20 centimetres, and so if you are jumping back, unlike in the visual impairment, they don't measure from where you take off, they measure from that board, and that's why you don't want to give up any distance.
683, no improvement, but he does stay in the bronze medal position. It is a season best. He'll have another 2 jumps to try and progress himself further up as we head to Roderick Townsend. 731 with his opener, that a season best. 691 with his second, a foul with his third. This jump number 4. He is 29 centimetres shy of Robiel Sol Cervantes of Cuba. Going for the double of high jump and long jump. He did win gold at the Paralympic Games back in 2016. He's the current silver medalist from 2020. He also won silver in 2015 and 2019 at the Worlds. And that is way over. You just saw his rhythm be lost at the end. He went quite some distance over that board, and that will be moved away. Well, there's your answer.
Yeah, you can see his foot is over, and this is exactly why we have a camera on the takeoff board. It is a visual call by the judge, but there is the option for an appeal, and that way you can go back to the evidence and you can see exactly how far over you were. But I was so excited to watch Townsend jump because he comes into this and he's not as favorite, whereas he was favorite in the high jump.
Retour sur la piste avec les séries du 100 mètres féminin catégorie T34.
Heat 1 of the women's 100 meter T34.
Les trois premières assurées d'une
Women's 100 meters T34, round 1, about to get underway.
Lane 3, representing Japan.
This is the opening of 2. Onodera Mo of Japan first up. 19 years of age, major championship debut. Fabian Andre of Great Britain, reigning European champion on the right there. Also took bronze in the Commonwealths last year in Birmingham. Joyce Lefebvre of Belgium, bronze in 2016 and also at the European Championships in 2018. She was 7th at the recent Paralympic Games. Hurricane Hannah, as she's known, Hannah Cockcroft, the world record and championship record holder. 7 Paralympic golds, 11 World Championship golds, no other colour than gold at the Paras and World Championships. Cockcroft is the reigning World and Paralympic champion, and Rosemary Little, been racing since 2003. Bronze back in 2012 in London, will go in lane 7. So 5 to go. 3 automatic qualify. The next 2 fastest, as per usual, will go through to the final. Onodera in 3, Andre in 4, Lefebvre in 5, Cockcroft in 6, and Little in lane 7. So a mixture of T33s and 34s. Rosemary Little, a 33. The rest are 34s, and that's why you see Little get away so slowly there, whereas Cockcroft, a 34, has absolutely flown away. It's just going to be Cockcroft against the clock here. Very interesting because she does hold the World Championship record, and she has broken her own championship record she set 4 years ago. We'll wait for confirmation of that, but 16.67 for Hannah Cockcroft, by my reckoning, is 0.1 of a second more off than what she set in Dubai 4 years ago. That time it was 16.77. So Cockcroft very, very quick indeed out of the blocks. Confirmation of that championship record of 16.67. Onodera in second of Japan as we head back to the long jump and our leader.
Yep, Cervantes, the champion. A strong burst forward, that is huge. That is a brilliant effort by Sol Cervantes. That's really putting it up to Roderick Townsend and the rest. He's already set a championship record of 7.60 in the opening round. Townsend has missed his last 2 attempts. Robil Sol Cervantes of Cuba is looking to continue his stranglehold in this. He's gone well out there. There's still morning here in Paris.
What I love about that jump is the way he uses the running action in air to maintain his balance. I mean, apart from looking very cool, it actually does serve a purpose in terms of lengthening the distance because it keeps your hips up and your feet out in front of you instead of you flipping over. And that is a perfect example of how you use the board well. He's not given up any distance.
7.63, a new championship record. And he's in goal. Next up for Brazil, Bruno dos Santos in 8th place. We go into round 5. 6.65 is best so far. Trying to get himself back up into the hot zone again.
What we'll see from dos Santos is a different technique in terms of you can have that little bit of a hang, equally as effective. And it's interesting, it's not necessarily something that a coach will teach you. They usually will let a jumper jump and just see what happens naturally.
He is a 7:06 man this year, 6:59. It's not far off his best to date, but he stays in 8th position. Sol Savanta is leading for Cuba, 7:63. Tanzan, 7:31. Conversations continue.
Women's 100 metres T34, that opening heat of 2. Hannah Cockcroft setting a new championship record, the reigning world and Paralympic champion, breaking her own mark from 4 years ago. Onodera of Japan goes through 2nd. Lefebvre goes through in 3rd position. And also qualifying there, Fabien Andre, the European champion.
On our way to the Javelin again, F64, and this is Singh down in 5th place. It's been a great morning in this so far with Sumit's world record. That's heading around 63 meters for Singh. Sumit leading 70.83. The new world record mark, Sri Lanka's Koduthuwaku in the silver medal spot. And Mikael Burian of Australia in 3rd place, originally from the Czech Republic, but he's been in Australia for quite a while now. Has declared for them, just like Sinead Diver did in the marathon, and a whole load of great finishes for them in the marathon. 62.09, he moves up into 4th.
That also a world record, that being because there are 4 different categories within this men's javelin throw F64, which is why you see Sumit there with a world record, and also you see Singh of India with a world record as well. Singh is an F43, Sumit is an F64. There are also F44s taking part in this particular category, along with F42s as well. So 4 different categories, which is why you may see different area records, world records and championship records all on the same sheet.
And I think he deserves, it's a new world record. Right now he's close to a medal there as well. That's what you get in the combined classifications. You might not get in the medals, but you can still get a world record as Singh did there. Try and give everyone their due here, including Asomani.
Asomani, the home favourite in this long jump, T47. He's in 4th position. There are some lovely, I was going to say face masks, but more like banners that they're holding up in the crowd, but he is well supported. Now, most people want a bit of hand clapping. Asomani has actually asked for silence, so there you can see the French supporters with the faces of Anu Asomani in the crowd. He's focused, he's ready to go. In 4th position, a season best with his last jump, which was 6.97. He needs to make up 8 centimetres to catch Maticevic of Serbia, who's in the bronze medal position. Took bronze way back in 2004, this man. When he was 19 years of age, Asomani. Gold in 2008 in Beijing. Silver in London 2017 in the Worlds. What's he got here? He's got a red flag, I can tell you that.
Oh, that is tight, but that's what happens. Even if you touch, that jump doesn't get measured no matter how good it is.
Millimetres, Steph. Millimetres, so no improvement. Anu Asomani is in 4th position, still with that season best on his 4th jump as we head back to the women's T34s.
Second heat of this, 2 of 2. Top 3 to go through to the final. Kipton Bly, Goins, Houston and Edenigan. And away they go. Denigan getting off strongly. Silver in the 1 and the 8 in the last Paralympic Games. A 3-time Paralympic silver medalist, the only woman to beat Hannah Cockcroft since her blaze of glory began 13 years ago. Look at this margin. 17.88. Denigan takes it. Eva Houston, United States in second. And Sarah Clifton-Bly, fifth in the 100 metres Commonwealth Games final, who's also going in the shot here, comes through in third spot. 17.88 after Hannah Cockcroft's championship record of 16.67 in the previous heat. She's made her way through. No problem for Houston as well from Omaha in Nebraska. They were left hanging a long time, so no chance for the usual introductions, but we'll introduce them all formally in the final for you. A lot of them you already know. Sarah Clifton-Bly, coached by Louise Savage, the 9-time Paralympic champion. And they are all through. And Clifton-Bly, she's a T33 in this T34 race, so it's a lot more of a restrictive impairment. Championship record for her in third spot. And there was no fearing Denigan here. It's the usual British queens to the fore.
You can see that Carrie is an absolute powerhouse, head down, punching the wheels with everything that she has. And just behind her, you can see Houston trying to keep up. But I have to say, for both of those heats, very clinical and dominant displays, both from Cockcroft and from Denigan.
Well, the famous story, Carrie was watching London 2012, saw Hannah and said, I'd love to do that, and she's good at it. And they are all through to the final. Brilliant story about Reid McCracken as well. So many great stories about so many athletes, but he was on a plane and he was sat alongside a well-known Australian television presenter, a massive fan of Kurt Fearnley. He said, could I meet him? It was arranged, and he's in athletics now. Matasajevic of Serbia, 7:05. Didn't make it. Actually, this TV presenter managed to set up a race between young Reid McCracken and Fearnley, and it wasn't you, Tolson, was it? No.
It wasn't me, no.
You can see right now that
sport. It was David Cook, apparently.
You can see right now the officials having a little bit of a discussion, a little bit of a look at that board. They're not happy about something. You can actually see there's a little bit of the red part missing, and that might have been just where the athlete hit it.
Well, they do replace those boards, don't they? Periodically when the athletes do foul because of the plasticine, they replace that whole board there, but Matasajevic was given a 6.83 for his fourth attempt. That one is fifth, and nothing as yet, but the officials are, well, normally they would just take the board in and change it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the discussion is about, because Matajevic, he didn't really like that jump. He didn't take off, he knew it wasn't right, and he ran through, so I don't think he's particularly concerned about getting it measured. But
well, they're changing that board over now. You can see that going out there. A new one being put in, but he has been given the red flag. There's that new board going in, Steph.
Now, the reason they're doing that is because at the front of the red board, you can see a little strip of plasticine. So just as additional proof, if anything touches that plasticine and makes an indent in it, again, it's called a foul. And sometimes it's nice just having that automatic feedback. But what happens is they have a whole bunch of those red boards lined up. And you can see there, if he just carries on the motion, his foot will potentially make a little bit of an indent. But what happens is it takes quite a long time to reset the plasticine every time. So just to keep the competition moving, they have about 3 or 4 of those boards on hand. And they have a judge in the background that is just setting the plasticine. And that's probably why there was such a discussion. It was so close that they just wanted to have a second look, maybe go to camera review before they made their final decision.
Come on! Let's make some more noise!
So Matasajevic given a foul for his third. Roderick Townsend, his last 2, third and fourth, have been fouls. Here comes number 5. Well, there's no problem with that, because he took off, I think, away behind that board. I don't think he even hit the board. I think he may have actually come up short of the white board that leads to the plasticine. We'll get a replay of that and see in just a moment or two's time, but takeoff-wise, it was fine.
16 meter all-three.
Well, remember, he has had those 2 misses, so that was cautious in the extreme. Look at that, he's given about 25 centimetres away there.
Well, my eyes are not deceiving me. Way back from the board. But when you've had 2 fouls, as you quite rightly mentioned, Will, he's suspect panicking a little bit that he's going way too far. This time he's pulled back and gone way too short. So he stays with a season best 7:31 in second position, and he'll have 1 jump left to go. Heading up now, you'll see there as the 100 metres gets ready to go in the background. We'll go to that in a moment or two's time. But Sol Cervantes, the reigning Paralympic champion, 7:63, a championship record, with his 4th. Taking Asmani's mark, which he set back in 2011, holds the world and championship record. He now looks to make it a world championship gold to go with his Paralympic gold. And that is a red flag, I can tell you now, right with the naked eye. There you go. He was way, way over the mark, and the board will be replaced after that one. Told you he was way over.
It does come down to margins. And again, when you are going for a world record, well, a championship record he's already got, and you want to keep on adding to that distance, the last thing you want to do is leave anything out there. And the other reason, again, you want to be on that board because it's wooden. It does give you that tiny little bit of extra lift, that tiny bit of pressure when you take off from a material that solid.
Well, you are right. He's only, 8 centimetres off his own world record, so he does want to be pushing the mark. He's in first position. He's got plenty of marks. He's got time to work with, so he's got 1 more jump, which he can improve. And he may well go into his final jump knowing he has secured the gold medal. So that we will come to in a short while. But we're going to head back to the track. The women's 100 metres, T64, the opening heat of 2. 3 fastest will go through. After the 2 heats, the 2 best times, fastest losers will qualify through. This sees the European Championship and T62 world record holder Fleur Yong, who's had success already here in the long jump, winning gold, will go up against Irmgard Ben-Suzanne, the world champion from Germany. Now this, as we've been talking about, a category which has T62s, T64s and T44s. Filippi is a T64 from Italy, 17 years of age. That lady there, T62, Fleur Yong, won gold in the long jump. She's also the reigning European champion at this distance. Irmgard Ben-Suzanne, born in South Africa, mother German, moved there to compete in parasport. She's the world record holder in the T44 category. Kiki Hendricks of the Netherlands, the second of the Dutch going in this one. T62, lifetime best of 12.96 set this year. Major championship debut for the 22-year-old. Amaris Sofia Vasquez of Puerto Rico is a T64, 7th in the long jump, with a PB for her in that one. So 5 to go. 3 of those 5 automatically qualify regardless of their times, and then we'll find the 2 fastest qualifiers after the second heat. So Filippi in 3, Yong in 4, Ben-Suzanne in 5, Hendricks in 6, and Vasquez will go in lane 7. Fleur Yong looking to continue her path towards a second gold medal at these championships. The reigning European champion over 100 metres in this category. And they get away at the first time of asking. Ben Suzanne gets out quicker, and then Fleur Yong really with those double blades kicks into action. Hendricks on the outside in second position, Ben Suzanne third. It is Fleur Yong in a time of 12:46, which he's gone across the line in just outside her own world record, but it is a new championship record for the T62 category. So she's broken the record of Sarah Andres Barrio, which was set in Dubai back in 2019, and goes through in first position. Andres Barrio will go in his second heat, coming up momentarily. Ben Suzanne has gone through in third, and Hendricks 12:97.
Fleur Yong did not look as if she was going full tilt there either, and it's a championship record and only 500s outside the world record.
I've loved watching Fleur develop over the years, and one of the reasons now she's so dominant and so dangerous is because her start is so good. It used to be that she would get up to about the 50-meter mark and be so far behind and close this distance, but now she has worked so hard on her start, her drive phase. Usually Ben Suzanne is way out ahead, and that just wasn't the case on this occasion. She's actually never won a global title in sprinting, and I suspect that might change here. And just a word also for Kiki Hendricks, who came through to take the second. Right now, the Netherlands has this amazing problem where they have too much talent in the amputee division. They actually have 4 of the top female sprinters in this category, with the rule being that you can only send 3. And on this occasion, the Paralympic champion Marlene van Gansewinkel has opted not to do the 100. She's been dealing with a bit of an injury, and so is going to focus just on the long jump and the 200. But what a wonderful issue to have for Dutch parasport.
Well, tears in the family, in the crowd, and there may be tears on the track if Fleur Yong can make it a double of golds here at these championships. A championship record for Fleur Yong in the T62 category. Kiki Hendricks also a T62 going through as well, and Ben Suzanne a T44, which is why she got away quicker at the start, goes through as a qualifier, and a lifetime best for Filippi as well.
And good to see Ben Suzanne make it as well. But I mean, if you think Marlou van Rijn could still be racing as well, who was the best around for so long, they've had some structure built there the past couple of years. New head coaching team as well for the Netherlands, of course.
And it's interesting, we spoke about the different classifications within the same races as well. So you may have 2, 3, 4 classifications in the different track races, and you also have different classifications at times in the field events as well. As we head back to the men's javelin throw, which is an ongoing competition at the moment. This is the F64. You saw Michael Burian just a moment or two ago. This time you see Singh of India with his final attempt.
62.09 was a world record last time out. That is not a bad effort. It's around 60 meters. Singh has dropped down to 5th again, overtaken by Zakaria El Zouri of Morocco with an African record of 62.50 just a few moments ago in this final round. Singh needs an extra meter to add on to his new world record in order to get up into the top 3. It's a big moment for him. India leading through Sumit, a world record in his own division of 70.83. Singh still waiting. 60.72, and he stays in 5th place.
It's not unusual to see these athletes competing with strapping on their shoulders, and you can also see Sumit there with a waist belt. And again, this is just an example of how intense the forces are that go through your body when you are throwing.
Well, the long jump is into the final round. T47 final. There's 5 left to go in their final jumps. Wang is due up next, 6.96 at the moment for him, so he's got some to do. He needs to find about another 10 centimetres, does Wang, as he looks to defend his world title, which is slowly slowly being relieved from his grasp. That's 6.96, by the way, with his very first jump. So he's going to have to bookend with his two best if he's to move up into the medal places and have a chance of even getting up into that gold medal place. Off he goes. Well, you heard that big bang on the board. It looked pretty good. I don't think there was an issue. I think he might have got just enough out of that. As far as the board goes, the only question is now, has he got the distance in the air? He moves away to his left, our right as he hits the board.
You know, it's interesting. Every time we've watched him come down that runway, he's always been on the left. And again, perhaps that is just because the effect of having one dominant arm when you run, it kind of pulls you to the side. And actually, you'll see some of the arm amputees in this classification will choose to run with a prosthetic arm, not because the arm itself is going to do anything, but just because it serves to balance your upper body and your torso out a little bit.
Well, weighing at 6.86, his competition is over. He has relinquished his World Championship gold. It will go to one of four others. At the moment, that man is Sol Cervantes. We'll get back to that imminently, because we are now going to head back down, as you see there, to the track and the women's 100 metres T37 final.
Yeah, curiously, this is in between those two T64 heats. So extra variety. The world record, Karen Palameke, she's in this. The championship record, Javelin Roberts in the heats, she is in this as well. It is a terrific field. It is always a terrific field. Coordination impairment, the second strongest physically in terms of the standing categories. And we have a plethora of champions in this. We'll start off in lane 1 and 5th in the 400 metres final here. 4th in the 400 2013 Liesl Gauss. Next up, 4th in the long jump here. Her best ever world result for Mauritius and Ace Angeline. In lane 3, bronze in the 400 metres final. The reigning Paralympic 400 champion, Zhang Fenfen. In lane 4, for Colombia, the world record holder, the new world 400 metres champion, Karen Palameke. In lane 5, for the United States, silver in the long jump here, helped the US to universal relay gold last time out. Couple of silvers in the Paralympics. Javelin Roberts. In lane 6 for China, gold in the long jump here, the reigning, defending world 100 metres champion, the Asian champion as well, Wen Zhaoyan. In lane 7 for South Africa, bronze in the last World Championships and in the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, Cheryl James. And in lane 8 for France, the former World and Paralympic champion, the reigning European champion, the great, the one, the only, Mandy Francois Ali.
100 meter T37.
So Palameke in 4, Roberts 5, Wen 6, Francois Ali 8. It is a cavalcade of champions in this 100 metres final. Roderick Townsend Roberts watching this. His moment is coming. For these 8, the time is now. Gauss 1, Angeline 2, Zhang 3, Palameke 4, Roberts 5, Wen 6, James 7, Francois Ali 8. The final of the women's 100 metres T37. Away first time. Solid start by Robertson. 5 looking very good. And Zhang of China 3 coming up. Palameke is moving well for Colombia. The world record holder. The 400 champion. The double's coming. Palameke 10.81. It's a new world record. She's done it again. Roberts up there with her but couldn't keep track. Karen Palameke does the double. She's the fastest around. She's the best around. And the world record has gone to 12.82. Karen Palameke has trounced them all. It's a lifetime best 12.94 for Javelin Roberts. It's his second silver this week. Brilliant result for the Pan Am champion. And when the outgoing world champion, the reigning Paralympic champion, gets the bronze.
Wow, that was such a display by Palamecki. And I think the best thing to do to explain what's going on here is just to talk a little bit about the T37 class, which is a coordination impairment on one side of your body. And when we say coordination impairment, it typically means three things. So hypertonia, which is high muscle tone, ataxia, which is difficulty coordinating muscle movements, and then athetosis, which can be involuntary movements. And the only reason I'm mentioning this is because you have to have context to understand how fast and how much work and how athletic this display actually has been.
Well, Palamecki flew out of the blocks, Roberts too, but Palamecki got into a rhythm really well. 12.93 in Knoxville in May, 12.87 after that, and now 12.82 for a new world record. I mean, Roberts 12.94, it's only 100th outside the world record. The previous world record set in May, that would have been a world record in the first 4.5 months of the year. 12.94 a lifetime best for her. When dethroned, 13.03 is still very, very fast. James 4, Francois Elie 5, but Karen Palamecki 12.82. The former 400 hurdler hasn't raced it in over a year, but in terms of the flat, she is the best around. Karen Palamecki does the 100-400 double, world record 12.82. Javelin Roberts the silver for the United States, and the now former world champion Wen with the bronze. It's not bad going for 10.50 on a Parisian morning. And stroll forward a year when many of us will be back in Paris. And
so Roderick Townsend with his final jump to try and catch Robiel Cervantes. He has to find a bit extra, around 30-odd centimetres. 7.31 is best to date. That one there, though, doesn't look like it's going to be enough. 7.31, 6.91, foul, 7.03, and then this one here to try and claim a second gold of these championships. Silver medalist from 2015 and 2019. Is he going to be a silver medalist again in 2023?
That was a great final jump from Townsend, and just to get another glimpse into the life of a long jumper, as you can see, he's actually split his pants. And you know what, sometimes that happens because you are landing on your backside in the pit, but I love that he just doesn't seem to care at all. He's clearly very comfortable with himself.
Well, he picks up the silver. That answers that question, which means Sol Cervantes of Cuba, with that championship record, he also holds the world record. He's the Paralympic champion, and he is now the world champion with a championship record 7.63, season best for Townsend, who adds to his gold in the high jump by taking silver again in the long jump. Maticevic, a season best for him, picking up the bronze medal for the Serbian. Dallas Wise, who took bronze in the high jump, did not start, but there are season bests and lifetime bests right throughout the field. Well, it's coloured hair seems to be the fashionable thing to get when you win medals. No, mine is just blonde going on grey. Working with YouTube.
it's all these early starts.
Second heat in the women's 100 metres T64. They bookend the final we saw just a moment or two ago. In the T37. Second heat, Beatrice Hatz, silver in 2019 at the Pan American Games. She took gold in the World Juniors back in 2017 in this event. Next to her, Canada's even, Marissa Papakonstantinou, Bronze back in 2020. My teeth are back in. This lady here has had a children's book published in 2019. A book of 5 characters who have different hobbies and impairments. Sabes Kinsoy. Do you know who I am? For Andres Barrio, who lost her championship record in the last heat. Kimberly Alcamady in lane 6. And Diaz Colon of Puerto Rico will go in lane 7, who was 7th in a heat back in 2020, setting a lifetime best in that race. So hats Papa Constanantu of Canada, Andres Barrio of Spain, Alcamady of the Netherlands goes in 6, and Puerto Rico's Diaz Colon will go in 7. First go through automatically, then we'll find the next 2 fastest across this heat and the opening one to go through to the final. The morning session moving at a rate of knots, like the athletes on the track as well. Heat number 2, women's 100 metres T64. We are ready to jump. Away very well indeed. Andres Barrio got the best start, but Papa Constanantu has really come up on the inside, and inside of her again, it's Hats, but here comes Andres Barrio. Is she's going to take the win? It looks like Papa Constanantu in 2nd, and Hats possibly in 3rd. 12.96 is that time for Andres Barrio. She lost her championship record in the previous heat. She's qualified in a time of 12.95. Alcamady has been given as the time there, but I can tell you it's Papa Constanantu who went across.
There's a little bit of confusion right now with the scores.
Andres Barrio is the one who's gone across there in 1st position. It came up as Alcamady on the system, but it was clearly Andres Barrio who had gone across, with Papa Constanantu and Beatrice Hats on that far side there as well in the mix. Andres Barrio takes it. It's Papa Constanantu in 2nd position.
I have to say right now, the double blades, they really understand that what they've had to do is put the work in for the starts, and we see again a fantastic start from Andres Barrio. And Marissa Papa Constanantu, she did so well to maintain her form and fight for that position. And I actually got a call about 15 years ago from someone saying there was a young girl who wanted to be a blade runner and would I meet with her. And I showed up thinking I was going to come for a jog, didn't bother warming up, and instead I ended up huffing and puffing. And I knew that she would end up on the world stage, and that was Marissa Papa Constantantu. See, even I struggle with her name, and I know her. I'm so sorry, Marissa. But again, we just see those fine margins. Only the first 3 are going to go through. Now, we are going to have a few fastest qualifiers, but I don't think that heat went to script.
Well, I can tell you, Andres Barrio, Papa Constanantu, Alcamady has got Hats on the line there. You can see in the photo, but Hats has also qualified in a season best time, 13.24. So Beatrice Hats has gone through from that heat despite being pipped on the line and finishing 4th. That lady there, Andres Barrio, well, she lost her championship record a little while ago, but she's very, very happy having gone through, and that confirms it there. 12.95. Papa Constanantu in 2nd. Alcamady has taken Hats on the line in that photo, but Hats does go through courtesy of that season best, 13.24 seconds, beaten by 0.02 by Alcamady into 3rd place.
Yeah, so there's a good Dutch representation in this final. Alcamada making it. Interesting, B Hats is coming up as B Hats. I wonder if that's at her behest. And well done to the Canadian athlete as well.
Felipe as well has gone through, the Italian, from that opening heat. The Italian gone through to make up with Hats those 2 fastest qualifiers for the final.
I think we might have some young Dutch supporters also in the crowd.
By the looks of it, they've tuned around. Now, there's one young boy who's being a bit greedy. Follower of 2 football clubs who win a lot. Actually, when we were leaving here yesterday lunchtime, it was fascinating to see all the different schools with different colours on, just so that they wouldn't get lost. It's always a thrill to spot yourself on the big screen, although I think he's pointing at something else. They've done a great job in getting the crowds in here, you have to say. Get a new series of fans of parasport in a year before an even bigger event.
You talk about Beatrice Hatch being down as B there. I thought there was only one B. Beyonce.
So something we're going to see a bit more of now, it's the women's Javelin F56. Raissa Rocha of Brazil is warming up. Leader of this is Hashemaya Matagian of Iran, 22.95 with a fifth attempt. All the throws being taken at once. Lin Sitong just been nudged down into second spot, 21.25. And Nadia Menmej, who's a regular medalist in this, 18.90, hanging on in bronze right now. There's still 3 to go in this, including Diana Kremina of Latvia.
Formerly
Diana Didzite. And there was a newsreader called Reggie Bosanque who was talking about some ruler of a country or whatever, and he said it took him years to learn the guy's name, and then they got rid of him. The leader, not Reggie Bosanque, although I'm sure that happened eventually as well. So now let's move on from one big field event to another. This is Zhang of China in the women's F11 discus. This is complete visual impairment. So you talk about your awareness, spatial awareness. She's got that. Zhui of China up on 37.74. But Zhang has produced something that's heading out towards 40 meters here. It's Suntala Nyante, by the way, who was a former able-bodied champion for very many years before her eyesight drifted. Zhang is in the lead here, 38.57. China gold and silver, Zhang and Zhui the 1-2, and then Nyante the bronze. Well, it's all happening here. It's been a very, very full day. So next up, we've got heats of the men's 400 meters T37. This is coordination impairment. There's only T38 above this in terms of strength of athlete, if you like. The higher the digit, the less protracted the impairment, the lower the digit, the more severe it is. But these are broad brush strokes. It's your little primer per event. Sofian Amdi, 5th into 200 final here. He goes in lane 3. It's been a very good debut for Mikola Raisky of Ukraine. 7th in the 100 and the 200 today. He goes in 4. In line 5, it's our first look this week at the Southeast Asian Games champion, Apizit Taprom of Thailand. He's only going in the 4. Michał Kukowski, 5th in the 100, 6th in the 200 here. He goes in lane 6. And Bartolomeu de Silva, who we're only seeing in the 400 here, he is on the outside in lane 7. So it's heat 1, it's the top 3 to go through. Raisky, the 16-year-old. Kukowski, bronze in the 4 in the Worlds in 2017, silver in 2 and 4 in the last European Championship. Before that in Berlin, he took those golds. Hamdi, Rosiski, Tapron, Kukowski and De Silva are the 5 in this. Hamdi in 3. Paralympic bronze in this in Rio 2016. Former 200 world champion. They were being held a while, but it is coordination impairment, so a while to settle. Hamdi in 3, Raiski in 4, Tapron 5, Kukowski 6, and De Silva in 7. Hamdi going very well, considering all of the 400 medals he's claimed in his career. Silvers in 2013 and 2017 over this distance at World Championships, and looking quite comfortable at the moment. He's overtaken Raiski, the 16-year-old, very early on, but Bartholomew De Silva on the outside is absolutely gliding it. He hasn't run this distance this year, but never mind, there's a lot of class involved when it comes to Bartholomew De Silva. He is well out in front. He's going to take the victory. Kukowski, the European champion formerly, in 2nd place. He'll get through. Raiski's moved up really well here. De Silva takes it, 54.47. Kukowski 2nd, Raiski 3rd. Hamdi was, in the end, run out of it in 4th place. And he will have to wait quite a while before he finds out if he makes it. And that was a very, very impressive 400 meters from Bartholomew De Silva. The defending champion is not here from the RPC. So there's a slot to be filled, and De Silva has made his claim for it.
We have been treated to so many great 400 meters over the past few days, and I think what we've been really seeing is that it's not that there's any one right or wrong way to run a 400, but we can definitely see that it makes a huge difference in terms of how you pace your effort. Now, yes, it's a 400-meter sprint. The idea is that you go all out, but it's impossible to go at top speed for the whole race. And we can see De Silva there. He ran a great race. He was even paced. He still had enough at the end. And this is normally the place where the lactic really hits you, and particularly in a T30 class, the lactic acid can impact your muscles differently. But the athletes that will get through this final and that will get through to the final and do well in the final are those that know how to manage their effort throughout the 400 meters.
It's a really impressive global championship debut from this man. He's 22 years old, Bartholomew De Silva, and he is only concentrating on this. All of his chips are in. He looked very, very good. Opposite Tapron, a month after his last big championship, the Southeast Asian Games. Came through in 5th. Bartholomew De Silva takes it, 54.48. Kukowski, Raiski and Hamdi, due to the mathematics, all qualify for the final. Thanks for joining us again, wherever you've been. Will Downing, Tolson Tollett and Steph Reed, the former long jump world champion and twice Paralympic long jump medalist. Had that crown once. Still got about half an hour's action left in the track, plus the concluding field events. If they continue, we'll stay with you. They're doing bongo cam right now.
And we'll have a DJ before the evening session as well. Who's the DJ today?
It is Amel Bent, who had a big hit with a cover of Eye of the Tiger, which I already knew. I did not need to look that up. She won, I think it was the French version of The Voice.
Survivor 1981. Two, was it?
Well, it was 2 in my part of the world anyway. It was number 1 for 3 weeks.
If you're wondering what on earth we're talking about, you may, if you ever watched Rocky 3, you would have seen Eye of the Tiger at the beginning of that movie.
And they came back for the next one with Burning Hearts.
This is true. Women's javelin throw, F56. Brazil's Reza Rocha. Reigning world champion. World record holder for F56 as well. That mark you saw there, the white mark, is the 20-meter area, so she's gone past that. Well and truly.
We got to see a great example of standing long jump technique, and so this is the seating version, and in many ways it's the same. The reason the athletes are leaning back and we see them really warming up their shoulders is because they want to get as much range as possible, as much speed as possible before they release it.
Well, 23.05, that puts her into first position immediately. That world record, by the way, for Reza Rocha in the F56 is 24.80 meters.
And this here is a behind-the-scenes shot of what it takes to get a seated thrower set up. So each athlete, much like the wheelchair racers, they have their own chairs, and the chairs are heavily regulated. For example, the height is regulated. It has to be 75 centimeters. And what happens is each athlete will transfer onto their chair. They'll get strapped in, and then they'll take all 6 throws simply because, as you can see, this is quite the process. It takes a lot of time, and logistically, it just wouldn't work to move a new chair in after every throw. So again, the athletes have to realize that they will take all 6 chances in a row, and then they have to sit there and wait and watch and see what position they're in when it comes to the end.
What would happen if we're not in conditions like this and it's lashing down rain and really heavy and you're stuck out there in the middle and it's wet through? Does that affect the seats and whether you maybe slip and slide and lift your backside when you're throwing the javelin or the discus or the shot put, whatever it may be?
So Telson is referring to the lifting of the backside, because if you've been following, you now know that one of the nuances of parasport when you're a seated thrower is that you have a butt judge, which serves a very important function.
I never led you into that at all.
which serves a very important function of ensuring that you are throwing with just your upper body. But you're right, because of the logistics of the competition, sometimes this can happen over 3 hours, and if you think about it, there can be a huge change in weather across the 3 hours. And I don't, for example, if it was raining or it started raining, I don't think it would affect the sitting and the lifting so much, but yes, the grip and how you connect your hand with that, that can definitely have an impact on throwing. But even just the waiting around, if you're waiting around in the sunshine, in the heat for 3 hours, that really is going to just zap your energy and zap that adrenaline.
Well, Sakshi Kasana of India is the penultimate thrower. You can see just tying herself in there and getting those belts on as tight as possible. I suspect that there'd almost be indentations across your legs once you actually take everything out, because you are trying to get it as tight as possible to make sure you're stuck down to the chair and there is no movement whatsoever.
As an athlete, any time that you use equipment to compete, you essentially need it to become a part of you. We see it with the amputees. They have to imagine their prosthesis is like them, and it's the same for the chairs. They want to have that solid connection. They want to feel like they are one.
Well, Sakshi Kasana is getting herself ready, and after she throws, it'll be Diana Kremina of Latvia, formerly Dadzidzi, who will go as the last thrower in the women's javelin throw F56 final. But we zoom away from that and we zoom in on the men's 400 meters T37. With the second heat set to go. 4 athletes in this one. 3 will go through automatically. as we head towards the end of the morning session. After this second heat here, we'll have the women's 400 metres T47, 2 heats in that. And that will be the morning session done and dusted as far as the track goes. Clara Agas of Ecuador was in the heats of the 200 metres at his first major championship. Ronald Rich was the name of an actor who was in the James Bond movies going back years ago. That was one of Blofeld's compatriots from Botswana. We'll go in lane 4, and Petrus Karuli of Namibia, his first major championship in lane 5. Yaroslav Okupinski of Ukraine, he debuted back in 2019 in Dubai. Lifetime best in the heat for him of the 200 metres. This, the 400 metres in the T37 coordination impairment category. Now we will just make note quickly that in the T37 coordination impairment, this is the second least effective, but you can still tighten up, Steph, as you come towards the end, especially in the last 100 metres. So lane 4 there, Ronald Rich has opted to run without blocks. 3, 5 and 6, which is Agas, Karuli and Okupinski, respectively, will run with blocks. So Rich has decided from Botswana this is the way he'll go, and they get away with quite fast start. Coordination impairment category, and Okupinski on the outside is being already run down by Karuli, who's run a very fast first 100 metres. He leads out in front, does Karuli, but it is Okupinski who's then come back in the second 100 metres. So a bit of a yo-yo in that one, and not much difference at the moment between where they started from. It is Okupinski on the outside. Inside him, Karuli. Rich has dropped back somewhat, and working his way through is Clara Agas of Ecuador, who's almost in line with Okupinski as they come into the home straight, but Okupinski has just put the afterburners on somewhat and is now having a little look around over his left shoulder to see where he is. He realises he's in a pretty good position as Ronald Rich tries to get into that third place. He doesn't get there. Second place, it's Karuli. Agas comes in third. They are the automatic 3 qualifiers who go through. 54.90 the time for Yaroslav Okupinski. Well, Karuli of Namibia ran the opening 100 metres very strongly. Okupinski in screen there responded in a second 100 metres, and in the end, when they came around into the last 100, he just put the foot down, skipped away, and made himself an easy winner in this heat.
You mentioned about the blocks at the beginning, and for this class, it is optional not only to use blocks, but also the way in which you use them. So we saw there that some athletes found it better just to use one, to have only one foot on the blocks, and that's the great thing about parasport. You find a way to be as powerful as possible, something that works for you. And you are right about that point about lactic acid. They were starting, and the starting gun was calling for quiet, and I felt like he was asking me to be quiet too. But as I come down, this is actually right now we're looking at the back straight, and what's going on now is, as long as you are not last place in this position, you are going to qualify. So you can see Rich did so well. He's fighting right to the end, and unfortunately he will have to wait to see if he qualifies, because only the top 3 in this heat are going through. But what you're saying about the lactic acid, exactly. This is a category where your balance and coordination are affected, and so imagine lactic acid on top of that. It makes it very difficult, those last 50 meters.
Well, I can confirm that Ronald Rich has qualified there with a lifetime best of 57.29, despite finishing in 4th position. So all 4 athletes from that second heat have gone through to the final. There's confirmation of it. A season best for Agas, a lifetime best for Ronald Rich of Botswana, who goes through with Okupinski and Karuli, who are in 1st and 2nd. Bit of cloud in the sky today. Still rather warm though. So many children in here during these championships. This day 6 on Thursday.
Our stadium announcer, as you see, is in the crowd. He's right in the thick of it.
I used to have hair like that.
I've seen the pictures.
Once upon a time, in my youth, when it was longer. Well, here's Sakshi Kasana back at the Javelin. We saw her warming up a moment or two ago and just getting herself ready. She is now in competition mode.
And this here is the reason why she took so much time to strap herself in. You see how far back she can reach, knowing that she is secure to that chair.
13:31. Her best before that was 12:96 with her opener, so she is in 10th position with one throw left to go. Just to give you an idea of where the leaders are, Roger of Brazil out in front, 23.05. Motigan, 22.95. Lin Sitong, 21.25. The top 3 positions at the moment. So Sakshi Kasana has a lot of work to do, obviously, and she fouls with her final attempt.
Just a note on that foul. The reason that was a foul, I think by my eye, is if the back of the javelin lands first instead of the tip, then they can't determine what the ending point was, and that's why that one came up as a foul.
And it is quite a difficult job for the judges at times when the javelin appears to the naked eye to land completely flat and you're trying to find the point where you can actually get the mark from. It's quite a difficult job for them, and they have to be precise.
Well, they have to be very alert too. One, because the javelin is coming directly at you, but also you want to be as close, as you say, on the field as possible to sight it as perfectly, because as we've seen, the margins can be so tight, both on the track and on the field. It can decide whether or not you make it to the final. It can decide medals in the final, and we're very lucky to have such well-skilled and well-educated technical officials who know all of these small, minute rules.
Well, with one athlete left to go, which is Diana Kremina of Latvia, that's how it looks. Roger in first place, Motigan with a season best in second, and Lin Sitong of China, who is up there in third position at the moment. Motigan, the Paralympic champion, relegated to second position at the moment. Kremina, who's last to go, is the world champion. So there's all to play for, despite being the last to go. She knows exactly what she has to come up with, does Diana Kremina. She's the world record and championship record holder at the F55 category. This is a mixture of 55s and 56. That championship and world record set in London back in 2017 at the Worlds, which was 27.07. And if she throws that here today, she will claim a gold medal. As we head back for our final track event, 2 heats to take place in this one, the women's 200 metres T47.
We have
So
a great
6 going in this. We're going to actually double the task for them. 1 full lap, 400 metres heats on the way.
So I was just jumping in there, Will, just because we have a great shot right now of the different ways the athletes can start. This is the women's T47, 400 meters, which means that there's an arm impairment. So you can see beside, for example, lane 7, they have a blue block set up, and that is just to help that athlete balance in her starting blocks, because they have to stay quite still, and that can be quite hard to do on just one arm.
So Amanda Serna, 4th in the 2017 World, she goes in lane 3. Maria Augusta, who was 6th in the 100 metres final, she goes in lane 4.
Just quickly going back to that men's 400 metres T37, Ronald Richard Botswana, who we thought had gone through, has actually been disqualified for running out of his lane, so he doesn't go through. Instead of him, it's Hamdi and Tapron who go through to that final.
In lane 6, bronze on the 400 in Rio 2016 side 2G. In lane 7 for Hungary, we told you about her earlier in the week. 4th in the high jump at the Youth Olympic Games 2014. A car accident in the States late last year. A para-athlete now. welcome to see her aboard, Petra Lutheran. And in lane 8 for Poland, it is Agata Siedrynska. Lane 5, Sasirawan in Hattot, who is a global championship debutante, but who is the 400 meters, 100 and 200 Southeast Asian Games champion from last month in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh. So she knows what it's like to be at the top. That's the result from earlier. Now this is heat 1 of the women's 400 meters, T47, Serna in 3, Augusto 4, Inatchot 5, Suji 6, Lutheran 7, Siedrynska in 8. So wait, the first time of asking, definitely a full schedule for Sasirawan Inatchot of Thailand in 5, who's got away very well, and Maria Augusto in 4. Augusto and Lutheran are the only ones who've already been in action this week here. Serna working hard, and out goes Siedrynska of Poland. Well, she looks to pull the hamstring maybe, and that's the end of her race in this. Hopefully not the end of her World Championships. So we're down to 5. Lutheran is trying to push up a little bit here for Hungary as they straighten up in Hatchot, trying to push up in lane 5. It is Maria Augusto, Brazil in 4. It's Tai Tsuji of Japan, who's already been on a global podium in Rio in 2016 with the bronze in this 400 meters. The top 3 will definitely go through. It's Augusto, Tsuji, and I think right at the end, Petra Lutheran of Hungary. Silver in the Big Ten Conference in 2018, the former high jumper who's made her way into the final here. Sadly, Agata Siedrynska will not. And she pulled up very early on. That was bad news for her. Tai Tsuji performing really well. And Petra Lutheran, who, as we were saying, was a really good NCAA athlete. Still is good in that level, but there was the car crash very late last year, and she's now in a world championship, now in a final. Sadly, Agata Siedrynska will not be. But that was impressive by Maria Augusto. 6th in the 100 meters, and aiming for a bit better in the final of the 4.
That was a great run by Augusto. And once again, we get a shot there of just the different implements that you can use at the start. You're allowed to use whatever you need as long as it doesn't interfere with another athlete. And I was so impressed watching.
She just pulls up here, by the way, Siedrynska, and nothing very obvious, just decelerates. She knows something's wrong, and it's just not going to work out, and there's no point doing any damage.
Exactly. As an athlete, you know when your body is not working, and let's face it, a 400 meters is not easy to run, and you don't want to risk doing any additional damage that could hamper anything ahead of Paris 2024. So very sensible. It's a hard decision. It's crushing, but you have to be wise and make good choices. But what was really impressive here was watching Lutheran just fight straight to the line, knowing how important getting that final qualifying spot is. And just a note on how it's difficult to transition when you were an able-bodied athlete into the para world. It's a new world for you, and it was something that I experienced as a rugby player who then was in an accident. And I remember showing up at my first race, not knowing much about para sport, but genuinely thinking I was going to come and dominate. Showing up to the 100, and April Holmes, hi April if you're listening, completely kicked my butt. And that was my wake-up call, like, Stephanie, you're going to have to work super hard for this.
Augusto, Tsuji, Lutheran into the final. Lutheran by way of a lifetime best in Hatchot as well after all those Southeast Asian Games medals. Lifetime best for her in 5th. And Siedrynska, unfortunately, didn't reach 100 meters.
We have one field event still taking place. There's one athlete left to go in the women's javelin throw F56. We'll bring you news of that very shortly indeed.
cet après-midi. Ne manquez surtout pas le concert d'Amel, la chanteuse française, à 17h30. Et je sais, Clément, et je sais...
See, I promised you. We're bringing news very shortly indeed.
It is Diana Kremina of Latvia who's already medal. She's picked up Latvia's only gong of the week. But she is a perennial champion for Latvia time and again. Well, she's the last to go. She holds the world and championship records from London in 2017 and aiming for a serious effort here in this F56 final. Her and Aga's happiness have been massive names in Latvian parasport time and again. Diana Kremina has got the gold. She's the last to throw. 23:57. It didn't seem an ecstatic reaction. It can be now. She wanted further, but she is the world champion again.
Now at this point, Kremina could stop throwing. She could decide I'm done because she's won. But she's feeling good, and she knows she can probably do better than 23:57. And you can see as well the way that her javelin, it just sticks into the ground, and that's to do with excellent technique at release and the flight of that javelin.
It is her 5th world title across the javelin and the discus and even the shot. And she won this javelin in Rio in 2016. She was dethroned. It was bronze for her. 23:99. She's making improvement. Based in Austria, as a couple of the Latvian team are. Diana Kremina, as she is Diana Dzite for quite a few years. Well, she claimed Latvia's first medal of the week in the discus, and now their first gold. A super athlete, the 37-year-old, and she is so significant in Latvian sport that they issued a stamp in Latvia after her Rio successes.
Now just watch the flick of her wrist as she comes through. Her knee kind of blocked it there, but again, we're just seeing it's all about the touch and the release. You can put a lot of power through the javelin, but if it comes off at a bad angle and it's not balanced, then it's not going to go far.
I mentioned Aga's happiness, actually, and the thing is, she was at the last World Championships in Lyon as a fan. She was there. She was in the stands because Aga's is a good friend of hers, and she saw him claim a medal. Actually might have been a gold just from memory. And then she said, well, you know what? I fancy a bit of that.
So at the moment, Kremina has taken her 3 throws and she gets that little bit of extra break.
Diana's the champ.
A few dance moves in there as well. So we have one non-starter in this, the final track event of the morning, the women's 400 metres T47, second heat. Kadiadu Bangura of Guinea does not start. You can see there in lane 4.
Back to the track, heat 2 of the women 400 meters T47.
So 6 to go instead of 7. In lane 2, Chloe Van Auslande of Belgium, 15 years of age. Major championship debut. Amanda Rummery of Canada didn't make it out of the heats in 2019. She'll be hoping for more in this one. Former Paralympic champion, won gold in 2016 in Rio, also gold in London in 2017 in the Worlds, silver in 2019. Li Lu of China, Fernanda Yara da Silva, bronze in 2019, the Pan American Games. Poland's Agata Galan, 20-year-old who took bronze in her home European Championships in 2021. Tabita Valtura, who was 6th in the heats in Tokyo 2020 of Romania, will go in lane 8. So Amanda Rummery, lifetime best of 59.13, a season best of 59.72. De Silva, who you see there, has a lifetime best of 57. Her season best here, 57.86. Will go as one of the favourites in this. So lane 4 unoccupied due to Bangura withdrawing beforehand. And already De Silva, who we just saw there, making a bold statement along with Li Lu of China. And it is those two who roar down that back straight with around 220 metres to go out in front. Rummery of Canada, you see on the right of screen there, running the bend now around the 200-metre mark. So halfway through, it is the first 3 who automatically qualify through. And at the moment, the 3 in front look like they'll be the ones who go through. Rummery, as they straighten up in the lead, as De Silva returns the favour and moves back in front with Li Lu in second position. Rummery has dropped back slightly, but it won't matter. She'll definitely go through in third position. And in first place, De Silva goes through, Li Lu second, and Rummery in third. 58.30 the time. So the top 3 set in stone there. Brazil, China and Canada qualify through to the final of the women's 400 metres T47. No doubt about that one. It was a quick start by De Silva and Li Lu as well, who went with her. Season best for Li Lu. De Silva in first place. Rummery in third.
You can see at the start there, some of the athletes will choose to angle their blocks right to the outside, and that's just because, just like at a 200 meters, you want to try and run in a straight line for as long as possible, just to build up that speed, and that does still matter in the 400. Now, I was really impressed with Rummery. It shouldn't matter that an athlete doesn't start, because it's a 400 meters, you're in your own lane, and nobody can really affect your race, and yet she would have had this huge gap between her and Lee, because that stagger looks so big. And so it can be easy to panic and think that you really have to motor and go, but she did a great job. She came through at the 300-meter mark. They straightened up. She will have realized that, look, there's not anyone else around as the top 3 are going through, and so I suspect that she shut things down a little bit, as is sensible, and you should do, because you still are going to have to come back for a final. Deceptive,
I think, is the word you're looking for there when it comes to having no one in the outside lane because someone's so far ahead, but she dealt with it really well, as did that lady De Silva, who comes in first place. Season best for Li Lu, and season best as well for Amanda Rummery, who goes through. So a really good race by that top 3. De Silva's happy. I'm sure her fans were. It's been a wonderful championships for Brazil, a great para-athletics nation, para-sport in general. De Silva then in first, Li Lu goes through, season best, and Rummery qualifies in third place with a season best 59.37 for her.
And you note as well there, lifetime best for the debutante Van Elslanda at the age of 15 for Belgium. Bronze in the 100 and 400 European Paralympics in the past few months. Great debut for her. And there are other more longer stages who have been very successful today. Diana Cremina included, who we have seen win the women's javelin at 56. That is now done. 25.81 was her best. The results of the day are imminent.
va passer un moment cet après-midi. Et puis le sportif, ça continue évidemment avec...
Breakdancers are out. By the way, Diana Kremina taking this, 25.81, women's javelin F56, her 5th global title. Raisa Rocha so close to Brazil, 23.05. And Madagian of Iran third, 22.95. Lifetime best for Hortense Mendy as well.
Men's long jump T47, Rubiel Sol Cervantes is added the World Championship title to his Paralympic title with a championship record. Roderick Townsend couldn't add gold to his high jump. He takes silver in the long jump. And Matajasevic of Serbia picks up a bronze medal. Dallas Wise, who took a bronze in the high jump, did not start in that one.
So the men's 1500 metres T54, Marcel Hug in gold medal winning form this week. Fastest in the first heat. It is the top 7 going through, including Ludwig Malta, Sam Rizzo, Cassidy Maguire, Kongen Kondrak, and of course Marcel Hug.
Second heat saw Prawat Waharam, the reigning world champion, go in that one. He qualified through with Daniel Sibri and Brent Lakatos. It looked like he was going to miss out, but he got across and took third place and qualifies through to the men's 1500 metres T54 final.
Women's 1500 metres T54 championship record for Catherine de Brunner, her 3rd gold of the week. Manuel Shah, her 3rd medal. Switzerland 1-2, Zhou in 3rd for China, ahead of Ikas and Menya. So 3 of the top 4 from Switzerland. Lifetime best for Leia Bayakula of Belgium and the debutant Shauna Bouquet of Ireland.
Men's javelin throw F64, Sumit with a world record in his category. He was a F64. This had 4 categories competing in it. Mikhail Burian, silver season best for the Australian. And Dulan of Sri Lanka, 64.06, a season best for him as well. Roman Novak of Ukraine, a new European record in his F44 category.
Yassine Ganishi with the gold for Tunisia in the men's shot put F36. Coordination impairment, world record for him as well, 1686. Continental records for Jose Ruiz of Mexico and Dastan Mukashbekov of Kazakhstan for the Americas and Asia respectively. Sebastian Dietz in 4th.
Men's 1500 metres T11 final. Now Agrippino, who we saw there, the world champion who went through as the fastest loser to the final, only lasted 10 metres before he withdrew. Yeltsin Jacks with a new championship record adds to his Paralympic gold medal, and Karasawa picks up a silver in a season best. Kozakowski of Poland, personal best for him, picking up the bronze medal.
Resounding victory for Roy Jababli in the men's 1500 metres T13. Category of least coordination impairment, 4 minutes, .23. Udadi El Etabi, the 5,000 champion this week with the silver for Spain, and Abdelatif Baka, the outgoing world champion, Paralympic champion, 3rd, 4:01.13. Mikhail Al with his lifetime best for Turkey in 4th. Name for the future potentially.
Men's discus throw F11 gold was won by China, along with silver as well. Asunta Legnante had to settle for a bronze medal, a season best for her though, the 45-year-old who's been competing since 2002, but it's China who take gold and silver. Men's 100 metres T34, the opening heat of 2. Britana with a new Asian record qualifying first. Austin Smeet, wonderful from him. And Wang also going through as the top qualifiers. And Roberto Michel going through as one of the fastest losers.
After missing out on the medals in the 400, Wally Katilas bounced back by winning his heat, his semi-final of the men's 100 metres T34. 15:22, Katila, Mani, Gong and Reid McCracken all going through.
Women's 100 metres T34, Hannah Cockcroft first, Daylight second. Championship record of 16:67, breaking her own mark she set in Dubai 4 years ago. Onodera of Japan also going through, along with Joyce Lefebvre and Fabienne Andre, the European champion, her fastest qualifier.
Carrie Denigan winning the second heat of that, 17.70. Houston, Clifton Bly and Cecilia Goins of Belgium also reaching the decider.
Women's 100 metres T64, the opening heat. Fleur Yong, who took gold in the long jump, setting a championship record of 12:45, qualifying for the final. Kiki Hendricks making it a Dutch 1-2, also going through. Irmgard Ben Suzanne, the world champion from 2019, qualifying along with Filippi of Italy. Second heat saw Sarah Andres Barrio, who lost her championship record to Fleur Yong, go through. Marissa Papaconstantou of Canada and Kimberly Alcamady, a Dutch 1-2 in the last one, and also going through in that, Beatrice Hatz with a season best as a fastest qualifier.
So the women's 100 metres T37, what a double for Karen Palameke, a world record as well, 12:82. Jaylene Roberts, another silver for the United States, and Wen Zhaozhan, the bronze for China. Men's 400 metres T37, Bartolomeo de Silva taking that. They all went through, actually, due to the mathematics of it all. Michał Kukowski was the second fastest in the 16-year-old. Raiski in third spot.
And the second hit there, so Okapinski of Ukraine storming down the last 100 metres to take first. Karuli of Namibia and Agus also going through from Ecuador. Ronald Rich had qualified as the fastest loser but disqualified for running out of his lane.
Women's 400 T47, arm amputee category. The top 5 going through here, and unfortunately for Agata Chujinska, injured very early on that. Maria Clara Augusto, the fastest time. She and Suji, the debutant Lutheran, Amanda Sen of Chile, and Sasuran Intachot, all going through. Lifetime best as well for the Thai.
And the second heat in the women's 400 metres T47 category saw De Silva of Brazil winning out. Li Lu with a season best going through second, and a great run from Canada's Amanda Rummery with a season best for her, along with Lee qualifying in third place in that one. And that racked up the morning on the track. So the clouds have come in a little bit and it's cooled down, so we may have a slight chance of rain for the evening session. Let's hope not. I'm being optimistic. The lights are on and the medal count has also seen it lighting up as well.
Yeah, we had that brilliant double yesterday. Brazil now with 20 medals, along with China, who've taken their 10th gold. Uzbekistan further glory in the long jump. Roderick Townsend Roberts with a silver in the long jump here. Britain with their 4 golds. Most recently, Holly Arnold in the javelin yesterday. Marcel Hug won here for Switzerland. Spain have claimed 7 medals. New Zealand 5. Catherine de Brunner, of course, has won 3 gold medals now, so if she was a nation, I know she's not, but she'd be riding high in this tally. Danielle Aitchison scoring for New Zealand well. Latvia now with a gold and a bronze through Diana Kremina. Netherlands with 3 high jump medals so far and looking for more in the 100 meters in the next 24 hours. Again, one with the bronze in the T54. Denmark still through Daniel Wagner with his silver medal. And we now have exactly 50 nations who have picked up medals here this week. Henry Manni on the search for more. Leo Paritaki for Finland. And this is only day 6.
Now, you may have seen cloud, but there is blue sky. I'm an optimist. I believe it will be clear for the evening session, and we have 12 finals in that session. There'll be 4 in the field, and we'll have 8 on the track as we roar towards the end of day 6 of 10. Until then, from me, Tolson Tollett, Will Downing and Steph Reed, we look forward to your company then. Bye for now.